we are done. It is
End
over.
of the season 2. Congratulations to all the ordinary jabronis and the one extraordinary jabroni.
And the poop god. Poop god.
Poop god.
Yeah, so fantasy playoffs are wacky as hell because they
Always.
come on Christmas, around Christmas, right? And then last year I had to do a solo podcast because everyone was like with their families and stuff. And I was like, well, we got to do a podcast. But this year I was completely unable to do that. So here we are. We're going to recap week 16 and 17 here.
I don't even remember what happened in week 16. That is, I got memory hold so quick.
Yeah, really. I mean, that was a crazy week too.
So week 16 is brutal because it starts Thursday, and then there's Friday games, and then there's Saturday games, and then there's Sunday games, and then there's Monday games, and then week 16 is over. Then you have 2 days, and then week 17 starts, and there's Wednesday games, and then there's a Thursday game, and then there's a Saturday game, and then there's a Sunday game, and then there's a Monday game. So it's just football.
That's like basketball. That's like fantasy basketball, fantasy hockey, fantasy baseball.
It is
like every day, and
every day you have to manage it. It sucks.
And we saw like
a player who plays on Wednesday instead of somebody who plays on Monday. But then like you have to keep track of what's going on.
Exactly. I mean, there was the whole drama. There's the whole drama with Trevor having issues switching Chris Jones out while he's sitting there on a couch Christmas morning, and like the app wouldn't, like, because his network was down or whatever. So then we had to go in and then change his lineup, and
it caused
just a mess.
Cascade of changes. Yeah,
but because Christmas doesn't fall on Wednesday every year, it's just happened to be just a weird week. Because if you notice, Sleeper has this unlock period where the previous week's data displays for that week, like the current week that it is, it shows your previous week's info up until like Wednesday or whatever, or after waivers run. But like this year, week 17, it was unlocked like as soon as the Monday games were done, or Tuesday it unlocked, and it was like, all right, it's Wednesday, it's week 17, so that was kind of interesting. I don't remember it being like that because last year I think it was Thursday or whatever. Yeah. It wasn't a Wednesday, like week 17 didn't start like right after week 16 basically. So
yeah, they did really kind of like run together football wise. Like there was not a real big break in the schedule. So
that and the Christmas Day games fucking sucked ass.
Oh, they were so bad. There was so much.
Saturday games were a mess. The week before.
It was just bad football like all week until Sunday and Monday. Basically.
Right, because it turns out it takes time to put out good football, and trying to do this like Saturday to Wednesday short week shit, like it's why Thursday is bad partially. Like it's hard to get
bad.
Yeah, it's hard to get a good game plan put together in that amount of time and get everybody ready for it.
And heal up.
And heal up too. That's super important. And so, like, the Wednesday games basically is double Thursday night football, and then you have Thursday night football again. So for that week, it's just oh. Yeah. And then I tried to avoid the Christmas games like the plague, as much as I could, and tried to get as many players as I could later in the week, because I had a feeling that those games were going to be ass, just on account of that.
My players that.
They're really bad.
Roquan had his best game since the beginning of it. Like Mark Andrews,
DK got 6 fucking points.
Well, DK
we'll fire John Schneider if he doesn't take an offensive tackle.
line. Yeah.
Just take a tackle, kick him inside, whatever.
For guard. Yeah.
Yeah, biggest freak. Just give me the biggest freak.
I agree.
Seahawks offense is just broken. We've talked about it all season. There's no fixing it in week 18. We all know what the problems are.
I don't understand why. My whole life I've watched Seahawks football, and they have never ever had a big line since what's his name? Winstrom was our left tackle, and what else when we had Hasselback? Who's the fucking coach? Who is it? What was his name?
Holmgren.
Holmgren. Yeah.
I mean, that's when we had Walter Jones too. So
Yeah.
that makes it kind of matters.
Well, we moved to that really fast, like small line for pass coverage, but then still tried to run the ball. We got lucky when we got Marshawn Lynch because he didn't need a hole; he just go make one, right? So I don't.
Yeah, he's one-on-one.
I don't know why we stuck with that line scheme after he left. It didn't make any sense.
John Schneider just doesn't believe in offensive line. That needs to change.
Yeah, like that's just a failure of like football basics.
Like I said, upper management, coaching. It's always been a problem.
Well, that's what I think has been the issue with DK. I mean, everyone's saying like, oh, JSN's taking a step forward. And it's like, well, is it really JSN or is it a byproduct of DK
getting triple covered and there's basically nobody else?
Because he's a problem. He's also been hurt this season. He's been really nicked up.
But even hurt, he's still getting double, triple covered.
He's
still fucking
like
big.
The number one.
That's
still number one thing. Is he's just running wind sprints out there, and like half the time your number one has to do that because that's how coverage gets dictated.
I will say the other thing that's kind of frustrating about DK's game is that he doesn't attack the ball. He's huge, but he doesn't just like body defenders and just like rip the ball out of the air. And he's kind of got a bit of stone hands lately, like a lot of drops.
He's always had stone hands even since college.
It's rough.
You have to not turn this into a Seahawks podcast. We've done this.
Well, I just got in here, so you can relax.
Every week.
I mean, okay. we're talking about.
We live in Seattle. We're going to talk about the Seahawks.
We're talking about Trevor.
Get over it.
We're talking about because of the people who make the podcast, but like, that's also reflected in the audience of the podcast too.
Well, we're talking about Trevor's roster.
This is literally my player.
True.
Yeah.
But
I
mean, we gotta.
Yeah, let's just skip over him. It's fine.
The Week 16 matchup here. Like,
it's fine. Me and Steve's game doesn't matter. We'll just do all the people that lost the league and weren't in the championship. So it's fine. Just move on.
I mean, Week 16, he was 3 for 7.
Like I said, in college, he had this problem. If you don't have a touch quarterback, someone like Russell Wilson that can just softly, gently lay it in your hands, dude's gonna he's gonna drop the ball. He's going to. He's always been like that. The only reason they didn't make him a fucking DB was because he's a freak. Yeah, he's a receiver that can block. What's a receiver you can throw on a block? Do you know any besides him?
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing.
That are still active.
Puka, Mike Evans.
Puka does not block.
He's a pretty good blocker.
He's way too small to block, dude. He's way too small to block, dude.
He does block. I see him lay blocks for
pretty
Kyron
well.
Williams quite a bit. That's why he's on the field all the damn time.
No. He does a fucking roll in front of people's legs. That's not blocking people. Okay, chop blocking is illegal most of the time, and he can get flagged for it. They can throw a flag every single time he does it.
I mean, Jake Bobo is a pretty good blocker.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll give you that.
He's not like a wide receiver one.
Jennings, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you Juwan'd, but isn't he a tight end?
No, Juwan'd Jennings is a wide receiver.
Yeah. He blocked the hell out of Kirby.
Juwan'd's listed as a tight end.
It was Terry and Arnold, and then Kirby Joseph got in an altercation with him on it.
Yeah. He blocked the hell out of him.
He blocked the absolute ever-living fuck out of Terry and Arnold.
Yeah.
He blocked Terry and Arnold so hard.
Juwan'd Johnson is a
Juwan'd Johnson is a wide receiver for 49ers.
No. Juwan'd Jennings is a wide receiver.
Juwan'd
Johnson is a tight end for New Orleans.
I got Juwan'd.
There's too many J's in those names. It's fucking everything
There's too many Juwan'ds. There's too many Hills. There's too many Jalen's. There's too many Jadens. There's too many.
There's more Jalen's and Jaden coming in next year too.
I blame Jalen Rose.
Do we really need more Jalen's and Jadens?
I 100% blame Jalen Rose for every Jalen that we see in the league, in any professional league right now.
Yeah, I believe that.
Well, I'm going over week 16 first. We'll get over to week 17 and continue that discussion.
God, this is going to be a mess of time code.
We can take a flyer on some of the week 16 stuff because
it is a bit away. I mean, playoff-wise, Targus, Brian Robinson let you down. Kyle Pitts let you down.
Kenneth Walker got hurt again.
Yep.
He got 8 receptions, though, which I was surprised that they used him that much.
All right, but
that game was just so frustrating, though. They committed to the run early. They used Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet a lot, and then they completely abandoned the run, and then they ended up throwing like 40 times or whatever, and then running it.
Yeah,
like
it's so
less
hard
than
with
20.
Minnesota because you feel like you're going to get boat raced.
Get Sleeper on the stream.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about it, you should probably
if I
put it on the...
Yeah,
if I do
I'm not,
it will turn the damn.
My camera's
stream.
not on, so you might as well.
Yeah.
There we go.
Take away
There we
non-video
go.
participants. Yeah.
Perfect. Make sure the frame looks good. Yeah, we set. We rolling. All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Phenomenal.
Anyway, yeah, Brian Robinson got hurt. He didn't get hurt. His ego got hurt. He had the worst game in his entire career as a pro. Fumbled and lost the ball twice, which was crazy because I think it was Cooper DeJean that was milk checking the fuck out of the entire Washington backfield because he forced a fumble from Chris Rodriguez too, if I remember correctly, one of the other running backs that was in the game.
Jesus.
So and they got four or five turnovers in that game, and they still lost, which was kind of like that Lions game earlier in the season where Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions and they still lost.
No, they won.
There's been 2 of those, they won.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. Washington turned the ball over like crazy, and they still won.
That would be a pretty
It was
crazy
a really
playoff
weird
matchup
really
in the
weird
real
game.
NFL to see is the Detroit Washington. Kind of hope to see that one.
It's probably just going to end up being Detroit Green Bay though. Washington's probably going to get somebody else.
Well, Detroit's going to get the bye
Aren't they playing for the bye?
Well, yeah, they're playing for the bye
against Minnesota. Yeah, I think Detroit's going to win.
Mm,
They already won once. Minnesota's a good team, but
I don't know. Detroit's defense is trash.
It's awful. Yeah,
It's so bad.
So
Yeah,
bad. They got the injury bug.
Yeah, they did. They're like Trevor's team.
Take a lineman. They got to take a
Very
D-lineman
end.
type.
Yeah.
Who needs to take a D lineman?
Detroit.
Oh yeah.
Like they
Yeah,
can't
they
just
need it.
they can't just
They
have
need a real
Aiden
young
Aiden
big.
Hutchinson and no one else. Like they gotta have somebody else.
They had Brian Branch.
Well, it's
in the
not like they
backfield,
don't
but
have.
it's
They have like
they have the backfield.
high
but don't
draft
have the,
capital, but it's
Yeah.
like they've other dudes who've been injured and haven't seen the field. Like, man.
I mean, the fact that they brought in Zadarius Smith on a trade like halfway through the season kind of tells you everything.
Yeah, that's fair.
They lost their entire defense, like all of it.
Yeah, yeah, everything. I mean, as we know in our league, if you have to go rely on Zadarius Smith, you're feeling down bad.
Yep.
Well, yeah. So
Not
Kyle Pitts also very much let
you
me
had
down.
people you could rely on.
Like you said, that this was the first career interception for Michael Penix, where he just throws it to Kyle Pitts, and then Kyle Pitts just goes doing, and it just alley-oops it right into the defender's hand.
That's
I have no idea
reception. Yeah, that's right.
what the hell he was thinking. That was the other target. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as bad. Well, I guess the volleyball set's pretty bad.
No, that was terrible. I was just like, I saw that happen. I was just like, I defend this dude so much, but I cannot defend. That was just so stupid.
It's probably not as bad as the McBride getting hit in the face for an interception, but
I mean, he's had multiple things like earlier in the season when he was crossing the plane and the defender knocked the ball out. He slows down as he goes over the line into the end zone and then tries to kind of move the ball behind his back to keep the ball away from the defender, and the defender kind of swats it, and then he fumbles it. But then they ended up calling it a touchdown because there wasn't definitive evidence that he didn't. It's just mental lapses from this dude that's really frustrating because, like, the talent and then the physicality and just the athleticism is apparent, but it's just like the mental aspect of it isn't there, which is basically who he is at this point.
I mean, what is he, like 24? 25?
Yeah, he's 24.
Yeah. See, like, Ricky Pearsall's older than him. I wouldn't be as worried if it wasn't for, like, the age thing.
Yeah. I guess we'll see if because they did pick up Kyle Pitts' 5th-year option. So if he goes somewhere that values tight end as an offensive focal point, he could be really, really good for fantasy. I just don't know if in Zach Robinson's system he's going to be like a top 10 tight end perennially. He's probably going to be on the bubble like he is the last couple years, because it's the inverse of the Raiders thing. Like we talked about it with Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is going crazy because Brock Bowers is the only weapon the Raiders have to throw the ball to. And that was the situation with Kyle Pitts his rookie season. They had Matt Ryan throwing the ball to nobody except Kyle Pitts, and he looked amazing. So now he has Bijan Robinson, and Darnell Mooney's emerged, and Drake London's there, and they have Tyler Algier, who's actually a pretty good back, and Ray McLeod's been serviceable as like a gadget player for them, and he's heavily involved in the offense and doing everything that Kyle Pitts used to do. So they just don't use the tight end. Zach Robinson is just not interested in using him that way. He just blocks, and he's okay at it. So, yeah. Rashad Bateman was really come on in the last half of the season, really. He's flashed. And then my boy Whiskey Dick.
First time in playing. He made it off his rookie contract. Like, I'm pretty sure they'll have to re-sign him after this.
Well, they did re-sign him to a contract. I don't remember the details of it. I think it was like a 3-year. They extended him, I think. And he got a Liz Frank injury 2 years ago, and those are super hard to come back from. They're very, very painful. Never had one. I hope I never have one, but I've heard it described as basically like having a hot screw shoved into your foot randomly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's very easy to run very fast when that pain is happening to you.
Yeah, before the Liz Frank surgery,
it lingers.
Like they would amputate the leg because there was nothing to be done about it.
Yeesh, I didn't know that. Yeah. That makes sense though. It's just like, well, we don't know what to do, so I guess we'll just cut your leg off because that's less painful than dealing with this injury.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Whiskey Dick, Daniel Hunter just is not. He's got some serious performance issues right now, which is extremely frustrating and a big contributor to my failure this week, along with Derwin James and. You know, just like my entire defense just being super mid, just absolute floor, except for Zach Bond.
Defense is, just failing you, flopping you.
But on the other side, I mean, Trevor, this is the last week where Trevor.
Put out a
this is the
game,
this is the last
week. Trash.
It's the last week
Look
he
at
had his
every
weapons.
single one of my other games. They're all above 200, except for maybe one.
Yep. I mean, you got what
Fuck
you needed from Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't get shit.
You got 33 points from him this week. It killed me.
For week 16.
Yeah.
From that week. Yeah. Okay, I thought we were talking about this week. Okay.
No, we're talking about week.
Oh yeah, 16. They did fine last week against you. No problem.
You had a 4 game.
We were playing a tank. We were playing a tank bowl, but I mean, I was playing you, so I was like not worried. It's like, all right, I'll be all right.
My team is just. It's like my team puts up a performance like what we saw from the Seahawks. In week 16.
I thought you might have done what Steve did, but
make a trade?
Make a trade, and then
I considered it, but like I truly believe I have way too many holes and injuries in my team right now. That's why I've been trying to like do things.
I tried to make a couple of trades myself, but no one wanted to part ways. They wanted 3 firsts. I was like, suck my dick.
It's expensive.
No one's paying 3 firsts for fucking Kyron Williams, okay? Josh, stop smoking crack.
Dude, 3 firsts is what I would want for like Jahmyr Gibbs. But that's because of like the circumstances around him, not necessarily
that makes sense.
Player.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, maybe how about this? For Jahmyr Gibbs, someone should give you at least a first and an established running back that's going to be out of the league within 3 years, or 2 firsts and a rookie unproven, looks good, might not pan out, but he looks pretty fucking good kind of player. That's my opinion. What I offered was Jay Mason for Kyron Williams plus a first and a third. Okay, That's a fucking even trade, if not better, because Jay Mason's going to take over the San Francisco 49ers next year, and he's going to run away with it. So,
we'll see.
In my opinion, that's a good fucking trade.
We'll see for sure. I don't think that's necessarily a bad trade. My problem with Kyren Williams going forward is just how much volume he's had on him so far, and
I think
in
that's
a Rams team that clearly does not give a fuck.
I think that's very, very much the concern with Kyren Williams because he has so much tread on the tires already. Like this year he got over 300 touches, and we've seen what's happened with backs that get that much run. Like look at
the only back who isn't hurt like that is Alvin Kamara, and he just got hurt finally. How old is he? Go look at him real quick.
Well, Kamara's 20. He's 29. He's 29.
Ezekiel, no, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
Kamara is in his 30s.
No.
Ezekiel. He's 29.
He's 29.
He's 29. He also gets so the value in Kamara is his receiving numbers. Look how many receptions he has. This is how he avoids a lot of contact. Like he has so much work in the receiving game.
Screen game.
But he produces with that.
Checkdowns, screen game. It's great.
Like look at his yards per target is super low. But that's because
that's not
again.
Low.
No, it is low for receiving because he's getting.
He's not a receiver. He's a fucking running back.
Well, right. It's because he's the safety valve. He's the safety valve. But that's super valuable for fantasy, right? But these aren't in terms of his actual rushing attempts. This is a decent amount. But when you look
at
Saquon
Barkley, right?
Like, no, look at Josh Jacobs.
Ezekiel Elliott and Josh Jacobs are better for this. Like, look, 300, 200, 300, 300. Like, he's got so many seasons where they've put him through the ringer. This is kind of the concern with Kyren, is that this usage isn't sustainable.
Yeah, 300 is a lot.
So it's a gamble on his. So, like, obviously the situation is there, the talent's there, because the guy is obviously a good player. But how long can they do this? So it's basically Josh is saying like, I have a valuable piece, but three firsts is a lot.
He just threw away his best trade. In my opinion,
3 firsts is a lot. I think he could still get if you really did want to move off of him. That's kind of like I don't really want to trade him.
I mean, why would you say he's on the trading block?
He also said that he wanted people to overpay. He did make the caveat when he.
That is an overpay in my opinion.
I agree. That is quite.
That's the thing. That is an overpay. Like. He should get a first at best.
Oh, you can absolutely
on a normal day. He should get 1 first.
Yeah.
I gave him 2 extra fucking things. That's overpay.
This
dude ain't getting. This dude in any other fucking league, this dude ain't getting more than a first, man. Not a single fucking thing.
The other thing about Kyren is that they did draft Blake Corum, and we haven't seen him really, so we don't know if he's going to eat into his usage at all. But Sean McVay is typically.
He's already sitting out next week. He's. Next year he's gonna come in and he's gonna next year he's gonna come in and he's gonna baby himself all year. Watch.
We'll see. I mean, Kyren could just be.
He'll get 300 touches with half the yards, and he'll just get beat up.
This is an interesting thing about like running backs now, given the scheme changes on defense, where like you've got like the simulated pressures and they're only ever sending 4, but like you've got to be able to pick up on who they're not sending, and so. What you're asking a rookie running back to do, and a lot of the rookie running backs fall because A, they're not complete, and part of that being not complete is they're not good at like pass pro. And so if you're not going to be able to pick up on a block on a sim pressure, like that's going to keep you off the field. If it takes you a year or 2, then like the value of late round running backs, unless there's like a obvious situation with like Bucky Irving and Rachaad White, where Rachaad White like was like if Alvin Kamara was just like not good at running, like, and so there's an opportunity for somebody to take a job. Like, unless there's that kind of situation, like, are running backs going to be held back because of pass pro now? Because you have to be able to do that to get on the field.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the Rams have had a solid run game for years.
You need to be a gadget style player in the league today. You can't just be a one-trick pony unless you're fucking Derrick Henry. Unless you're DK Metcalf.
Yeah, like, but even Derrick Henry is phenomenal in pass pro.
But they're not, right? They're freaks. So good luck beating them.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to take someone like Derrick Henry's job. Although Derrick Henry was a slow start I don't. Do you
Yeah,
guys remember his? Do you remember
because
his?
he was on a shit team.
His rookie season, he couldn't get on the field behind D'Amico Murray.
He was on a shit team, man.
I mean,
That's a
he
shit team.
was on a shit team his whole career.
Because
now.
listen. They had that team built for pass protection. They did not have that team built for running offense. Okay, there's a big fucking difference, man. There is. If you've ever played football in your entire fucking life, you'd know that. You can't just switch overnight into a fucking run offense. You can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean they had Ryan Tannehill throwing it to AJ Brown, and that was like their peak. Was when they had that system with Derrick Henry with Arthur Smith. That was like the only chance that Tennessee's had in quite a while to even make a playoff push.
Yeah, I mean that was the year that like the stats for Tannehill made him look like a top 5 like quarterback if you looked at everying in total, but it was like still Ryan Tannehill.
Right.
Having
so
him
like,
in
Still Tannehill, yeah.
having him in
winning to
fantasy
Ryan
that season was fun.
Yeah. Derrick Henry's a monster, man. He's a fucking monster.
What'd you say,
He killed it.
Trevor?
Dude, he killed fucking JOK this year.
Who?
He sure did.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick
who did he kill?
JOK.
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
He
see
tried.
that.
He tried to tackle him, and then like the next shot, like after they went
It
to
was
commercial
just, like,
break, and
they went
then
to
he was
commercial
getting, He was getting
immediately.
stretchered off. It's like
Yeah, dude, he is on IR for a neck injury.
yeah, he
Like,
got.
Oh.
He tried to tackle. That's why you don't tackle.
That's why you don't
Derrick
hear
Henry.
about it.
It's
Yeah.
All
right, so we got Danny and me.
No, we gotta.
for week
I had
16.
to switch back. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Danny.
It's a good game, man. Like
This
It was
was rough.
for each. That's
It
a
was
hell of a
really
game.
close. It was
This
really
was
fucking
so
close.
I was like pretty sure I was gonna lose up until like basically
Somehow
the Monday night game.
Whatever, Danny. We lost because of collusion, man. Don't believe him.
The second year of a
No
collusion,
collusion.
based around a trade Steve has made.
Weird. It's almost like the commissioner should be
Always
making
me,
trades like
huh?
that.
It's always me.
It's almost
It's
like the
the-
commissioner shouldn't be making trades like that.
It's the rules we agreed
Well.
to in the offseason that it would
I'm
be
just
legal
kidding,
to
man.
make trades in the postseason. I'm open.
Dude, I voted fucking no. Okay,
No,
just to
you
be
voted
clear here.
yes. You voted
No, I
yes.
did not.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Yes, you
No, I
did.
did not. I said no.
God,
The way you
you
guys
have the
fucking
receipt.
worded it, the way you guys worded it in that fucking bullshit poll you had, made it seem like it was the other way. Because it was Steve fucking designed.
What? No, dude, the survey just said if we should get rid of the trade deadline. That was it.
No.
And you voted for it.
That's so fucking ridiculous.
I voted no.
No, you voted to get rid of the trade deadline.
No.
You did.
No. I didn't agree with it at all. Where's the receipt?
All right. Let me get it. I gotta
find
get
the receipt. I
I
wanna
gotta
talk
get
about
the
Cooper
Google
Kupp for a
form.
second.
I gotta get the Google form. I'm pretty sure you voted for it,
Oh my
Trevor. 1
God.
second.
I want to talk about Cooper Kupp for a second, though, because like this guy has had the biggest disappearing act at the worst time for Danny. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like, he just like has been nothing for like 2 to 3 weeks now, and it's just like
Same with Judy.
that sucks. Well, that's
Like-
because
Yeah, I
old
mean,
crab legs
are-
doesn't throw into him, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
Jerry Judy's like ascension was just based on like crab legs, just like I will throw the ball and it does not matter. Like
yeah, and Jerry Judy
deliver me
can
for
come down
pick
with the
sixes
ball.
or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. Ty
okay.
Spears was really good in this game for
Right.
Danny, and
Alright,
then
I'm sorry.
absolutely exploded next week.
I found it. All right. So here's the this was the off-season survey from last year.
All
And
right.
This was your submission. And then it was currently the trade deadline's the 12th week, and then you approved to remove the trade deadline.
I think this is
I mean, maybe-
extremely clear too.
Maybe you
I mean-
maybe you
It
clicked
should
the
this
wrong
be
one.
upheld?
It
But,
says
like,
approve, remove
What the fuck?
trade
Why is that
deadline.
even in there? I'm telling you right now, I called you about this and asked you why we're even doing it.
We talked about
irritated
it.
then.
We talked about it during the podcast.
in the podcast, yeah.
So if you don't like this change, I'm totally open to a
problem
change
is-
of the rules. Like this is something we
The
can
problem
vote
is,
on
right,
again in the
is-
off
is-
season.
It's one of those things where if people aren't going to budge, why even have it?
Well, this one was really close. It passed by 8-7.
I also think that. Wait,
Or not 8 to
I don't
7.
know, man.
that was
adds a-
15.
It adds a
Like,
very-
Yeah.
no.
it adds a
7
variable
to
into the
5.
game. It adds a variable into the game that doesn't work.
I
Well-
think one of the issues right now with trading, just in general, is something that Scott keeps bringing back, and that's this old parody dance. And like,
Parody.
yeah,
Yep.
is that everybody likes their team right now to a
Yeah.
certain extent. There are very few people who have who have wanted to move on from players because they don't believe in their team. Like, I don't know. Like, John lost this year. Like, he's the poop god, but he also traded me Mike Evans at the beginning of the year to get
Mhm.
another pick. Like, whether or not he was planning on tanking and getting like the poop god, that's different. But like, he obviously like wanted to make changes to his roster, like regardless.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many people.
He also was very unlucky in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Like losing ETN, who was a major part of his roster last year. I didn't think he expected him to just completely poof.
Yeah, just shit the bed.
Huge injury.
Tank Bigsby
Yep.
wasn't even really injured, really. Like he came back, but
No,
then
he
was
got-
just nothing. He lost his
He
job
got
to Tank
big injured,
Bigsby.
but Tank Bigsby has already run away with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
But-
I mean,
but
I don't know
this
about
is what I
run
wanted
away
to-
with it.
This is
That
what
was
I.
a hamstring. So like those linger.
Yeah,
and,
those
like,
do
the
linger and they
Jaguars were
suck.
also shit already.
But listen. So I wanted to point out this did pass by a very, very thin margin. It almost tied and wouldn't have got ratified. It was a 7-5. Like, if clearly there's enough people in the league who think there should be a trade deadline. So if we want to revisit that, I'm totally happy to put it on the off-season survey that we have coming in the next month or whatever. So that's totally reasonable. I'm cool with throwing it back on up for debate. If people don't like the trade deadline being removed, then we can vote on it again and see if people want to keep it the way it is, where we don't have a deadline and people can make trades in the playoffs, or we can have a deadline so that it stops right before playoffs or something, based on the settings in Sleeper, of course. So, yeah.
I mean, it'd be week 13 is the latest we could do it.
Is it week 13? Or
Yep.
Okay. So I guess we could put it up to a vote to re-enable the trade deadline for week 13.
Last year, I had like 5 trades. I didn't have a single one this year.
You had one with me. We traded. We traded Jordan Mason.
Yeah. Kirk.
And then you gave me Kirk, and then I had to
Wait, we
take
traded
him.
what before?
Hmm?
Oh, Jordan Mason.
Yeah, Jordan Mason. And
that was like
you-
right at the beginning of the season, right?
It was like week. I think it was week
I had-
4 or something. But yeah, it was like week 4.
Probably. Yeah, I mean it's
Easy.
still relatively early. I mean, we all thought Christian McCaffery would come back.
Oh, he was done. I was right about that. It's just Jordan Mason ended up getting hurt. Unfortunately, he got a fucking awful
September
injury.
18th.
Yeah, so that's week
2.
3, 4.
3, 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they start into, but they do. What's it called?
It's like September
Preseason in
7th or
August.
8th was the beginning of the season, right? So that's like week 3, right?
No,
and
week
somebody's
2.
I think so.
rostering Gurrendo right now, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
sitting on Matt's
absolutely.
taxi right now.
Yep.
Week 1 NFL was September 9th, just like I thought. So
Yeah.
it's week 2.
It was after.
Yeah,
I think it was
we'd rather
after week 2's action concluded is when we made that trade.
What injury did Jordan Mason get?
He got
knee or
his lower body. I believe it was something with his ankle, and then he got
Yeah.
put back
His
into the
ankle.
game, and then he re-injured himself and got a hip pointer, and then just basically got shut down for the season after getting re-injured. So he got put back into the game where he was injured initially, and then injured again, and then he came back, I think, the next game, and then got hurt again, and then they took him out.
he just had a high ankle sprain, so you just taped that
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
And then he
It's
came
a
back
high
in.
ankle. It wasn't
Yeah.
a groin or a hamstring.
Right.
Yeah.
High ankles are really weird, though. They either linger the whole season or you're good after 4 weeks. It's a really
like,
shitty injury.
Well, high ankles, like either it's a mild, it's a like low, it's the
Depends
like
on
only
the grading.
ankle injury that you can actually play on.
Well, it's also like you can come back the next week, or you can be shut down for 4 and not be good for 6.
It just depends on your pain tolerance. That's all it is.
Yeah, it depends on like the nature of the injury too, because there's certain ways you can injure your ankle where it's just really hard to come back from and play at a high level on. So like people can come back and play on an ankle sprain, but it's kind of like getting a hamstring. It's like you would rather they just tear their ACL almost, because it's like, well, now I'm not gonna.
It's definite.
I'm not gonna take you out of my lineup because you're, my best option here. But you're nicked up to a point where you're gonna be a decoy. You're like that's how you get the T. Higgins stigma, or the Amari Cooper stigma, where it's just like he cannot be trusted because you put him in your lineup and he gets 2 points.
Yeah, you don't want that.
And then you take him out of your lineup because he got burned because he got 2 points. And then he goes off and gets 10 catches for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you're like, oh, shit, he's fine. And then you put him back in your lineup the next week. And then he hurts himself in the first half. And then he's shut down. And then he gets you 2 points again. And you're just like, what the fuck? It's like the Gabe Davis effect, too, without just being Gabe Davis. Because Gabe Davis is never hurt.
Mason, then if it's not a soft tissue thing, like that's like a major injury, and it's just like one of the like annoying minor injuries, like a high ankle, you
just put an air cast on.
He should be competing. He and Gurrendo should compete next year for the lead spot. Like
J. Mason.
Like Gurrendo was a 4.3 guy, and
Gurrendo's glass.
Probably a little small right now, and so like if he puts on weight, goes through like the off-season like strength stuff, like he can at least compete. I don't know if he'll win it.
The thing with Jordan Mason though is in college, the guy in front of him was this guy named Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
no, I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
no, I'm pretty sure I haven't heard of him.
Yeah.
So
what does he do? Who does he play for?
Yeah, so. I think we've seen his skill set at this point at the highest level, and I think he's fine, and I wouldn't be surprised if they stand pat this draft on the running back position, because they have a shitload of running backs already. So I think since they named him the starter over Gurrendo after CMC couldn't play, I think that going into next season, barring like a really high, like a day 2 draft pick, let's say, at running back, who's just phenomenal, I think Jordan Mason has a good shot to be the starter next year. That's just been my opinion. I mean, that's kind of what we saw.
It's not an unreasonable prognostication there, but
he also got hurt. It's not like he lost his job because he was playing shit. He looked great.
NFL, like people say they don't lose their jobs from getting hurt, but that's exactly how that happens.
It is how it works. I mean, for sure.
People get hurt, but then that just opens an opportunity for a better player to take their job.
Right.
In that sense. And that does happen, but that happens to players that aren't good. And I think Jordan Mason has shown that he's actually pretty good. Like, he has good vision and good bursts, and he famously bought a jugs machine and practiced catching, and that was kind of why he got the opportunity. There was a ton of buzz about him in the off-season process, and a lot of that came from just his mindset, and his ability to catch the ball improved a lot, and the coaches rewarded him for that. So I don't think that goes, all good deeds don't go unpunished, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens with San Francisco's running back situation, but let's get back to what happened with Danny. I was surprised that the Bills couldn't really do anything against New England. Like, they barely squeaked by with a win here, and it was a really low-scoring affair.
There was a really rivalry-specific division thing going on here.
Oh, of course.
In which the Bills were wearing the Patriots uniforms from the 80s, and that got New England fired up.
I did notice that. I was confused. I was like, What the
It
hell?
looked horrendous, but the Bills were wearing exactly the Patriots uniforms from the '80s, except with the Bills logo on it, and that got New England completely fired up. Because division game, and so that's why that happened.
Yeah, they got nothing to play for, and
No, they're
they just
doing this
want
to
try
spite
and
their rival.
yeah,
They're being petty. They're
sure.
beating the Bills.
I guess in retrospect that makes sense, but yeah, not good for Danny though, because he really needed a boom game.
He really needed a big game here. I mean, that's the difference. I think is Josh Allen's having a Mush Allen experience.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Danny probably would have won. You know.
So, Achane is a interesting player this season because he, in my opinion, is absolutely a merchant of the situation with the offensive line in Miami.
He's kind of like a thinner, more well-fed Kamara.
I would consider him more of a current generation Austin Eckler just because he's a scat back. That's what he profiles as.
Sure.
And he's really good at catching.
I think there's a similarity there for sure.
He's really good at receiving the ball, and he's good in space because of just how fast he is. The thing is, though, is that, and this ties into Danny's other darling on his roster, Jonnu Smith, is the Dolphins have a terrible offensive line, and Tua is very good at processing defenses and is the leader in getting the ball out. Like, he has the least amount of time in the pocket this season for a starter for a reason. And as a result, we're seeing a complete subtraction of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and basically any pass catcher that isn't near the line of scrimmage right off the bat. So next season, if Miami focus on offensive line, I think that we are going to see kind of a retraction in the fantasy output and production from both Jonnu Smith and Achane as a result. Because if Tua has more time, he's going to be able to throw it to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill if he's still on the roster.
Yeah, so. I think next year will be a big year for Waddle because it will be the year after the injury. And hopefully the Dolphins figure out that Tua shouldn't be getting hit, The offensive line is important for him.
Also with Tyreek Hill, there's been a lot of discussion about his broken wrist and that really affecting his production. I really don't think that's affecting him. It's definitely a component to why he hasn't been as good this year, but in my opinion, it has a lot more to do with the fact that the Miami Dolphins literally have no run game. They cannot run the ball at all. If you look at the splits for all their running backs, it's Achane running 17 times, but it's always a zone run. It's very, very rarely do they do a gap scheme where they just kind of run up the gut or do a draw play. They're almost always trying to bounce him outside or getting him in space with a check down, which is why he gets so many receptions because they have to finagle a run game because they cannot run block for shit. And their pass blocking is barely good enough, so they just have a Tua who's an elite. His ability at an elite level is to read defenses and to throw the ball where it needs to go. He has very good accuracy, but that's literally all he has. He's not good at scrambling. He's pretty slow, and he honestly shouldn't be moving around as much. He's more of a traditional pocket passer QB, which is great for running backs. You want that. Because then your quarterback isn't doing what Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or now Jaden Daniels do, where they steal all their running attempts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they work on their offensive line, we'll see Raheem Mostert or Jalen Wright actually be used more, which they barely were used at all this season, and it's reflected in their inability to run the ball. Yeah. They don't run nearly as much. There's a reason Tua is throwing it 40 times a game. And there's also a reason whenever a backup comes in, all due respect to Snoop Huntley, he's just not good in that system where they don't have a offensive line to function.
Yeah, Tua holds it together that in a way that it shouldn't be held together.
Yeah. And it's really too bad his surgically repaired hip is fucked up again. Apparently he has a very significant hip injury again. And I don't know if you guys remember, but before he was drafted, part of the reason he fell was because he has a surgically reconstructed hip. Like, dude's gonna have problems when he's older. Not only with the concussions, his hip is fucked. So feel for the guy.
He had to completely remake his throwing motion from that whole surgery.
Yeah,
because he couldn't throw the same. Yeah,
Right.
it is amazing that he's playing, just in general, not the concussion stuff.
he's tough.
Yeah, it's that Hawaiian man.
Yeah.
Hawaiian culture.
Yeah, Jordan
Most
Addison.
things know about Steve's roster here, Brian Thomas Jr. Absolute steal of a draft pick this year.
Yeah, I'm aware.
He is yeah.
That's the guy I
Best
wanted.
draft in the fucking league.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that in our
get to
offseason
that,
discussion.
We
but
should do
we'll
that
get to
next.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
next
Steve's
episode.
Steve's draft, just kind of like my take on that is you went from literally the most dog shit team in the league, where you had to completely rebuild your roster, to nailing 6 of your 8 draft picks.
I think that's.
I want
right.
you to understand, and this is why Trevor was going off about how you sold your soul to the devil, so that Green Bay will never get a championship again. Is because the likelihood that you get
possible.
six top flight starters out of one draft is that
Insane.
Honestly, Steve, you will never have a draft that
It's
good
never gonna
ever
happen
again.
It's
Ever
never
again.
this good
You can
again.
play draft. You
Never
can play
again.
fantasy football, and I will eat all the crow in the world. And I truly will stand by this statement that I'm about to make. You will never have a draft that good. You play this game until you're 80. You will never have a draft that significant again.
I mean, literally
where you
got
get 6 top flight starters.
I also think
6
that this
top
draft-
flight starters and 4 of the number 1 rookies at their position.
That'll never happen again, Steve. You talk all this game about how you need to value draft picks more. Fuck off. You got really, really, really lucky. Anyway,
part of it,
that's my summary
of
of
that.
that.
Steve, part of the thing that Steve got with both Bowers and Brian Thomas is both of those teams absolutely only had one option and were complete pass funnels, to Bowers and Brian Thomas. And part of that is this was the healthiest season for running backs and the most unhealthy season for wide receivers in a long, long time, which will be over-indexed next year.
Yeah.
And the Jags fucking suck. And they only got one dude. And they're going to suck for a long time, but Brian Thomas is not going anywhere, man. That dude's going to be eliminated.
Oh, he's obviously
long
wide receiver 1. He's kind of got that A.J. Brown kind of physicality. When I watch him play, it reminds me a lot of A.J. Brown in terms of just his route running, and then just he's good. He gets separation. He's good. He's got yards after the catch. He's just a complete wide receiver. He's the guy that the Jaguars desperately needed. I'm really stoked that they have a weapon finally. They need more. They need to get all the dead weight off this roster. They need to get rid of fucking Gabe Davis and all the other bums and get him by him, I mean Trevor Lawrence, an actual 2. And
they need to get a whole
an offensive coordinator. And an offensive coordinator. A real one.
Coordinator. Yeah, a real one. A whole thing.
And a real head coach.
Yeah, for real.
All due respect. All due respect to Mr. Doug. Mr. Dougie P.
With all due disrespect, you can go fuck the hell right off.
He needs to just go be a coordinator. Just stop with this head coach bullshit. I don't care that you won a Super Bowl. You ain't got it anymore, dude. And your obsession with your own coaches is just kind of gross.
But yeah, no.
Yep.
There's
legacy game from Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Yep. Fucking insane performance from him.
Busting off 65, 70-yard runs for touchdowns.
29 carries. Against a good run defense, too. Tennessee's defense has actually been good. Tennessee is completely unwatchable because they literally don't have an offense. So you kind of just write them off.
Real bad.
But their defensive coordinator was I forget his name. It's slipping me at the moment. Maybe one of you could go look that up real quick. For Tennessee. But he was asked in a press conference whether he thought that his defense was soft, and he fucking lost it.
Oh yeah, no, like that's ridiculous. Like, yeah.
Dennard Wilson. It's his
That is
first
a
season.
name I learned today.
I'll cut. That's a name I learned today as well, but I'll cut the video in right here.
Really want to get me going today? Yeah. Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's complete and total bullshit, if you want my honest opinion. These guys are tough fuckers, man. They go after it every day. They play hard as hell. And there's at no point have we ever put on tape at any point this season that this is a soft football team. Like, I can't even wrap my mind around how that would even be a conversation. I mean, just because we don't win games doesn't mean we're soft. These guys play their ass off. They play hard. They play physical. You can ask any team that plays against us that when they come off the field, they know they played us. Yeah, that makes me relatively angry that would be some presumption. That means you just don't watch the shit. You know, you don't do anything about it. That you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're looking at. So I won't stand for. I'm not going to stand for anybody calling this football team soft. I think that's bullshit. So if there's opinions out there that feel that way, then they don't know anything about NFL football. So I'd like you to walk in there and call one of these guys soft and see what happens. This is not a soft football team at all, mentally or physically. And I think one of the things mentally that's really been impressive about the team is that the way that they keep fighting through the way that this season has gone. They've not shown at any point that they're not up to the task. They come out every day and work. They have. I mean, you're gonna really get me going now. I mean, these guys come out here and they do everything possible to win games. And if there's any assumption anywhere that's outside of this building, again, we don't focus on all those things, but there's no possible explanation to say that this team is soft in any way, shape, or form, mentally or physically. And the way that they go about their work it's insulting to me, to them, to everyone that works here. So I'm not that no chance ever in hell would I ever admit that to be the case, and neither would anybody in this locker room. So you can kind of shove that one right up your ass.
One of your old guys.
But yeah, it was a very poor performance from Tennessee.
Yeah. I am glad for once this year that I did not take the 200-yard game from the single player. That is a nice thing to happen to somebody else.
Yeah, well, you weren't in the playoffs, so.
Yeah, I don't care. It's really annoying to get that. Take that to the face.
Yep.
So
take the 200.
he was on the Rams for a while when he first got into coaching, and then the Jets, the Eagles, Ravens, and then now he was a backs coach on the Ravens, and then the Titans picked him up. He played football for the Redskins in 2004.
Oh, my apologies. I think it was Brian. It was Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan was the coach. He's the head coach.
Yeah.
And he's the one who blew up in the press conference because he was defending Dennard
the new coach,
Wilson. Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
Steve actually. No. I was wrong. I was talking about.
I think I remember seeing that.
Because Dennard.
Josh Huppel is the coach. Isn't Josh Huppel the coach for Tennessee Titans? Oh no, I'm thinking of college.
No, Brian.
This is happening after I've cut in the video.
No, Brian Callahan is the head
So it's
coach,
gonna be definitive on the rewatch.
Yeah.
Who is correct?
Yeah. No, it's.
I'm retarded. I just said a fucking college coach, dude. I'm retarded.
Hey, it's college playoffs, man. You got college on the brain, okay?
Yeah, got college on the brain.
Yeah, my Huskies got beat 34 to fucking 35. Bullshit.
Speaking of Huskies, the emergence of Jalen McMillian happened at a perfect time.
So this is interesting because we're going to see all offseason what they're going to do with Godwin and where he goes. And this is very relevant for Trevor because he lost is one of the many players that Trevor lost this season to injury. And I don't know if they want to get rid of him, honestly. Like, Godwin is solid. He's
really good.
That was really good.
He's just going to retire there.
Where's he going to where's he going to go?
He's going to teach their new. Why would he, man?
Money.
He would.
Money.
Yeah, money.
Isn't he
money talks bullshit walks unless they give him enough money to coach, right? If they give enough money to stay and help the fucking team with McMillian, then Why not stay?
Well, you think he retires? What do you mean, coach?
Yeah, I think he retires at Tampa Bay. Why
retires
would he
and
go
coaches.
anywhere? Like he's
Oh,
been there
you
his
mean
whole
Yeah,
career.
later?
no,
You mean
but like
so?
later in his career, yeah.
Trevor,
I mean,
you
he
think-
gets one more contract, right?
So you think he gets
It's
extended?
his first contract.
Godwin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's only been in the league 5 years.
He's like
He's
26.
looking
Oh, I thought. Sorry, I was thinking Mike Evans because Mike Evans.
Yeah,
is
Mike
like
Evans will
31,
retire
32.
at Tampa
Sorry.
Bucks.
Mike
Oh,
Evans will
100%.
retire in Tampa
100%.
Bay.
Oh, they're
No
definitely
doubt about it.
because Mike Evans is on his way out. If not this next year, he's out. They're gonna keep Godwin and McMillian and roll with them.
Is
Why
he?
would you get rid of him?
Mike Evans has 1 more year on his deal.
Yeah, that's why I said one more year. He's retiring.
Because they have.
There's no way.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to keep
I would
Evans,
buy that.
keep Evans, and then just let him do his thing until he's just physically can't play football anymore. He kind of like calls
you
it
get-
a
well,
Or
career
until he
on
says
his
he's
own
done,
terms.
you know, like he won a
And-
Super Bowl. He's had a Hall of Fame career. Like he
Absolutely.
can hang it up at any point and
He's
easily be
also
a
a
first
fan
ballot.
favorite. Like that matters.
Yeah,
to,
no,
like,
absolutely,
The front
like-
office to sell tickets, that kind of stuff.
He's your consummate
does.
pro, like dude.
but
never
they can
never
get him paid in other
bitches.
ways, right? He can take a
Yeah.
really cool, cheap contract, and then they'll hook him up with some sort of local deal, a bunch of local deals, like we did with Marshawn, like
Right.
we did with fucking Doug Baldwin, like
Yep.
they do in the league, right? They'll
Right.
get him on a super cheap contract, and they'll keep him forever until he's done. And they'll do the same thing with Godwin after this next 3-year contract is up, because they're going to give him a 3-year contract or a 4-year contract, and they're going to keep him. They're going to give him just enough to stay, and then
Mhm.
he'll retire there. It's just going to be the same. You would never get rid of your star receiver like that. That'd be like saying, "Oh, we're going to trade DK Metcalf tomorrow." That's stupid as fuck. You wouldn't do that.
No, I
They're
mean, it's
franchise
like,
players.
would they not re-sign him? The question of would they let him?
Would
walk?
they not re-sign him? How about you ask it like this: would you re-sign him or would you not? Would you not
Well,
re-sign
with the
him?
way,
It's just, you're
with the way
double
wide
negativing it.
receivers and theoretical wide receiver ones are setting the market, maybe your front office doesn't want to spend that kind of money. Maybe your cap space doesn't allow it. Like
No, they're
there
going
are
to.
considerations here. Like
Yeah, I don't know what Tampa Bay's cap situation is, but I think what's more important is what they do in the draft. This upcoming draft has a lot of good wide
Yeah.
receivers, and if they take one,
true.
maybe they let
They're not
Godwin
good receivers
go.
until they prove it on the field, man. I hate when people say that about the fucking draft.
I mean,
These
it's their
kids,
prospects for
they're
a
kids.
reason.
They're kids.
If-
They're
if
not
they
good
draft-
until they fucking show they're good. They're good
Yeah,
in
I
college.
mean, if they drafted a wide receiver like day 1 or 2, and then if they produce right off the rip in training camp and prove themselves on the field during the regular season, then-
Now listen. I'll put you guys on some game, okay? Because this is how football is. If they came from high school and they went to college, and they still were good, they can deal with the ball size change. If they go from college to the NFL, they're going to already know how it feels to get a ball size change because they went from high school to college, especially if they went from Pee Wee to high school to college to the NFL. So, in reality, a lot of the things that people miss with these wide receivers is some of these kids, their senior year, they start playing football, or they're already in college and they just go and try out and they end up being this great receiver. And then the second they try to transfer into the NFL and they get this little tiny change, they can't fucking play the game anymore. It's the
Yeah.
same thing with quarterbacks.
I mean,
It's the
we
same
see,
fucking thing.
we see it all the time with the like fucking N'Keal Harry and your Traylon Burks of the world, just like players that just can't
Yep.
fucking play the game as a pro.
Well, they can.
can't
They
hack the
can.
pros,
Give them a
but
fucking college
are
ball. I
good
bet you
college
they
players.
fucking play just fine.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a different game. Chris Godwin, I think, is done with his contract with them. I think he needs to get extended this season, which is why I think
Yeah,
this is
no,
a
he's a
talking
free
point.
agent.
Is
Yeah, he's a free agent.
he's a free agent. Chris Godwin's a free
Godwin.
agent in
Yeah,
2025.
he's not going to be a free agent very long. I'm telling
So-
you, that he's
Well,
he's
yeah,
gonna
he'll,
get signed.
it just
That's
depends
a
on
thing
if
to watch. You know?
yeah, if it's very interesting to see what they do, especially with his injury, which was pretty gnarly.
And if somebody comes over the top rope, like he's gonna take the money. All these.
Well,
dudes
it was
are
just an ankle, right?
His ankle was
Broke his
dislocated. It was
He
dislocated.
just
Yeah, you
dislocated.
got-
It's not broken. Like
Well, it was broken and dislocated.
think
Like
it
his
was
ankle was
both.
fucked. His
I thought it
ankle
was
I
just
think it was
fucked.
pretty
dislocated.
brutalized.
Yeah, it was not a good.
That was
I didn't
the
get
hit
to- I
It's
didn't
not a
get to
good
see it.
injury.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
was.
see it.
Yeah, it was one of those injuries where you see it happen on the field, and then right after the commentators are like, "We're not going to show that again," sort of injury. It was
Yeah.
not. It was bad.
It was bad.
And, yeah, and the thing about like Godwin is like he's an older prospect, or he came in as an older prospect. So this is maybe his only chance to actually get a big bag. That's the thing that I think is going to be interesting about his free agency.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It's just dislocation, which dislocations are bad. Don't get me wrong. That's when tendons tear, right? Yeah. But when you don't have to get brackets and metal in your leg, it's a lot better because you don't have this foreign object that's fucking you up. Yeah, I think he's going to be fine.
I hope so. I love watching Godwin play. He's fucking awesome.
He'll be a little slower.
He'll
be hesitant.
Right. Yeah.
But
he needs to get to a point where, well, he came. Was it ACL tear? What was his other injury he had? He had a season ender.
MCL. He had both.
Dude, if you can come back from that,
is it all in the same leg?
This ain't gonna be shit.
It's different though. It's different when it's your knee and then your ankle though. If he was like re-tearing the same knee,
I've done both.
That sucks.
I'm telling you right now, the knee is way worse.
His whole leg's basically exploded.
Yeah, but you know, athletic freak and whatnot.
Knees are fine. Yeah, it's shoulders. It's 270-degree joints that are bad. But the fucking 180, it's not a problem.
Yeah, no, I think his ankle, like his ankle is like it was bad, but it's one of those like if they make a deep enough playoff run, he has the chance to come back. It's kind of like the Adrian Hutchinson,
right?
Like Adrian Hutchinson injury.
Let's see here. ACL, MCL, which ended the season 2021.
He's fully recovered from that. This was like the season where he was like,
we're trying to see if it's on the same side. Because if it's on the same side, that could be a factor. But
I think there's a.
Again, when I came back from my ACL was better than it ever was. It was way better than before I fucking tore it.
Regardless.
Yeah. Moving on.
My DLs failed me here.
Your Packer didn't. Oluokun had a pretty decent game.
Yeah, Keyshawn Nixon came out. Hufanga went floor.
Is Hufanga even gonna make didn't he get hurt again after this game?
No, he didn't.
Playing.
He was just banged up all season.
He's been banged up all season. He's coming back from injury and he's wearing a club. So he's not going to be scoring any interceptions, and he's never been a pass breakup kind of guy. So he basically is going to live off of tackles.
Definitely down season from him, though. He was fantastic in 2022.
Yeah.
And then he had the ACL, so this was the year after. Next year he should be better.
Yeah.
This is kind of a lost season for him, I think. So
in a couple of ways.
Into there.
Yeah.
But
Keyshawn Nixon's having a great season. This is the best season of his career, fantasy wise. So.
I mean, really, what this boiled down to is just your offenses went head to head, and then Danny's defense almost made it happen for him.
Yep, almost eked it out.
I think Danny had a really, really crazy season. I think he's happy.
Good team.
No matter what happened, I think he's okay with making playoffs and then making a deep push.
Danny, I'm calling you out right now for manifesting your own long way to third. You did this to yourself.
True. It's true.
You did this to yourself.
I mean, he's kind of doing the same thing I'm doing. It's just like, come on, this can't be with the season I've had. But I knew what was going to happen to me was just inevitable because I was playing Trevor. So,
yeah. And your team, you've just been calling a fraud this entire year.
My team is a fucking fraud, Joe. Again, it was like watching the Seahawks game this last week, the 6-3 win. That was my fantasy team. The whole time you're like, I want to fucking die, and then you win.
I did not watch that game.
And then you win somehow.
I'm good. I'm gonna do something else with my life.
You didn't need to watch that. That's for sure.
Just whiskey dick all the way through. It's terrible.
So bad.
All right. So is that everything in this game?
That's pretty much everything that we care about from week 16, right? Yep.
I mean, for the championship game.
There's not really. I don't really want to get into the toilet bowl. There's a lot of poopy in that whole situation.
There's a lot of poopy going on.
A lot of poopy going around in the toilet bowl.
We'll
toilet bowl teams. No one cares.
Yeah.
The only thing that matters is the offseason for the toilet bowl stuff because that's the draft order. And that's
what do you mean? Who won the toilet bowl?
Uh,
God.
No, Kelce.
Yep, Kelce did.
Week 17. Week 17.
No, she won it in 16. Kelce won the toilet
So
bowl
week-
and has the first
so
overall pick again.
Technically,
Jordan
the
has
poop
the second
king.
overall
The
pick.
poop king is John. John had.
Wait, wait, wait.
John lost.
That's winning the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
Getting the first overall is not winning the toilet bowl. That's 100% losing
Right.
the toilet
Yeah,
bowl.
that's true.
Yes.
You don't want to win the toilet bowl. That's the whole point. You don't
So-
want
Yeah,
to be
you
the
lose
So
loser.
the draft
toilet
order.
bowl.
The draft order will be Kelce, Jordan.
No, wouldn't it be John?
No, Kelce,
No.
Jordan.
No.
Kelce, Jordan, Joe, Matt, Josh, John. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that.
Yep. Those are the first 6.
Although
Is so stupid.
I really
Move
liked
on.
Matt's suggestion on how we can tweak it, and we will talk about that.
I
in the
really
future.
like that as well.
The
I-
max PF thing makes a whole lot of sense.
Doing max PF to determine draft order, and then instead doing the same format, but then awarding comp picks in
Right.
That's
rounds.
what I
That's
said. At the
2,
end
3,
of the
4.
I
fucking
don't like the
regular
comp picks
season,
thing, man.
the end of the regular season, the person who is fully in last needs to get first pick, and then from there on out, it can be a crapshoot. But in my opinion, and I've said this since the beginning, at the end of the regular season, the person who is dead last needs to get first pick.
Well, the suggestion that we're going to vote on in the offseason is that the reverse max points for will determine the draft order, and then teams that are in the toilet bowl will fight for comp picks instead of draft position.
I really dislike the comp pick thing.
What
Why?
is comp picks?
So basically what we would do
Comp
is
safety picks. It
What-
adds more picks to the draft.
it adds 3 picks.
That's
think it's
stupid.
dumb. I think that's
Stupid.
fucking stupid.
All right. Well, we have some dissent. So we can definitely have that discussion and figure out what we want to do. If there's enough people that don't like that idea, we can try something else. I'm totally open to it. But yeah.
Just give the last person in the regular season the first pick, and then do reverse max points for, and that's the best way, in my opinion. In my humble opinion.
How do you determine the last place though?
The last place would be the worst record. If there's a tie, you go for the worst points against, right? And then if there's a tie there, then you do maybe highest points for versus points against, so you have a differential between the two.
Well, what about people just losing on purpose then? That just
What do you mean?
incentivizes
They shouldn't
people
be losing on purpose in
purpose.
the regular season.
They
Because
could
we're all
if
so
they-
close at this point. Literally, the entire league was still in it until fucking 2 weeks ago.
Well, in a world where they're not, it would encourage people to just play shitty players and
If
lose
they
on
want to be
purpose.
a piece of shit, they could be a piece of shit. Like, that's on them.
And we lost Steve.
Steve. Yeah, he's back. We got him.
If they want to be a turd,
back,
man,
Steve?
they could be a turd.
I don't know. I like this. I like the idea of competing, like, for like the way the toilet bowl makes everybody compete. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
The like seating for it definitely should be reverse max PF, so that like you have the worst teams get the bye. and
Yeah,
not
teams
just-
who could not score points in the regular season get better draft position.
Yeah.
That's
that
the idea
guarantees
behind max
That makes
points
sense.
for. Yeah,
I mean, that makes sense.
that's what the max points for. It wouldn't be by record. It's
You
regardless
mean
of
reverse max
record.
points?
Yeah, reverse max points for would determine. So that's
So least points for. I think you guys are overthinking this shit, man. This is just do the fucking KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Just fucking the most shit out of luck players get the first pick. If people tank, they tank. That's on their own conscience.
yeah,
Fuck 'em.
that's what the suggestion is to just seed. So basically do the draft order sort all the teams by max points for, and then the team who had the worst record in terms of points for, the team who scored the least by max points for metric gets the 101. And then it goes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that order until you get to playoff teams. That's what we're going to be voting for in the offseason, is to switch to that.
Yeah.
The other component of this, whether or not we do like comp picks or if we switch to a consolation ladder instead of toilet bowl is a different thing that we can talk about and hash out. But
it was my idea to do the toilet bowl, but it's not right. It's not the way that I suggested it isn't
Do you feel it?
oh, Steve's back. Hello, Steve.
All right.
Well,
the way I envisioned it, I'll say the way that I envisioned it is not the way that it's going, because
Yeah, there's definitely some issues.
It doesn't seem like
I like it because it rewards like people who keep playing. It also doesn't reward people who suck.
Yes.
Well, not that they suck. Their team is just no
ass.
good.
Yeah,
their
ass.
team's ass, and then they're just gonna keep being ass, and unless you get.
Yeah.
But that's also why I suggested that the toilet bowl winner is still second pick, and that the worst player is still first pick, regardless of all that. When I was fucking explaining this, you're gonna have to do some work if that's the way it is, but that's how it should be.
Well, clearly we have a system that is going to change, and we will take in if everyone who has an idea about how this should work could just write up how you think it should work
last year,
and then we can vote on it in the offseason. That's what we're going to do.
Didn't we all do that?
No, I
We
think
said this
you
last year.
and somebody else did.
What we ended up coming up with is the system we have now. So we're going to change it. We're going to vote on changing it.
We took both the systems and put them together, but I don't think that's the way to go. You got to pick one and go with it, or just go with the original system because it was in there for a reason, right?
So when you say real quick, just so I understand, when you say the toilet bowl winner, who's the winner?
The person that actually tries to win, not the fucking loser.
So in this case, it would be Josh, because Josh won.
So technically, let's see. Kelce won. Kelce won, and then
Joe
I don't
won.
see. Can I
Joe
see?
Won.
How does Joe win? Where's Kelce?
Kelce's here in 8th place. The 8th
Right.
place.
So the bracketing's incorrect, right? So the way it would go is that Kelce would then play. Where is the other one? Would play Joe, and then she would lose to Joe, and Joe would go. So Joe would go on to play against.
So you're talking about the consolation ladder where the winner advances.
Yeah.
The toilet bowl is the inverse of that.
I understand, but I kept trying to tell you that's not.
So what you're advocating for is to switch to a consolation ladder and then award the picks based on the results of the consolation ladder, kind of like what I did in redraft.
Not all of them. No, I told you. Number one needs to go to the worst team at the end of the regular season. Okay, that first pick's gone. The second the consolation bracket starts, that first pick's already locked in. Okay, from there on out, the second place.
So you're battling for 2 through 6.
Needs basically to be the winner of that tournament bracket, and third place down. So third, fourth, fifth, sixth needs to be the people that got knocked out first. So it's going to be John, Kelce, Jordan, Matt. Right? It's going to go in that order because they lost. The only person who should be getting an advantage is the person who wins the consolation bracket and the person who did the worst throughout the year. It's still going to be the worst people in the league getting up there. They're going to be 3, 4, 5, 6. So they still have a reason to try to get second. Like, you're trying for second. You're not trying for first. If you're trying for first, I think that's not okay. The person who should be getting first is the worst person in the league at the end of the regular season every single time. Period. Because they got shit on all year. And there's no reason for them to get fucked over.
Yeah, which is the argument for the max points for rule.
Right.
So if you just had the team that did not score shit for points, then first overall.
I think there's an argument for the max points for seeding.
Hey, but you guys keep saying max points for.
No. Inverse max points for.
Correct.
The person with the lowest
least points for, because an inverse of maximum is least points for, correct?
Least max points for, because max points for is a specific integer in the realm of sleeper.
Yep.
Right. So start saying the nomenclature correct though, because it's going to confuse people.
So the person with the least max points for gets the first overall pick, and then so on till the playoff bracket. Now we can do that and have a consolation bracket or a toilet bowl and award picks or award comp picks or not. And I feel like all three of those could be separate kind of questions.
Really, the only thing we're trying to address here is getting people to engage throughout the entirety of the playoff portion of the season instead of just getting to playoffs and then checking out, because at that point their season's over and they don't care. So we want to. That's the only reason why we're trying to address this in the first place. But
so I'm looking here, right? So Josh and Joe got the bye the first week. Is that correct?
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
No. Let's see. So Matt would have got the.
Matt played Jordan because they
right,
were
but he had the worst
worst
record. The only time you should go to the inverse of the maximum points for is if the person who is number 12 and 11 have the same record. Matt has the worst record. He should get first pick.
Yes, by the max points for, that's what would have happened.
That's
Yeah.
what would have happened. Yeah.
But we competed.
But that's not true
Jordan
because
has the
But
least-
we're not. We don't. I don't think we want to
Jordan
do
has
this
the
by
least points.
record.
It would be by least max points for, which is the way we seeded.
Max points for Jordan has the least max points for. Like
where is Jordan? No, he has 22. Matt has 21.
it's points for. Max points he has 2790.45.
Oh no, Joe
Where
is
you seeing that? I'm
Joe
looking
is
at- I'm
correct.
looking at points
I put a picture in the announcements channel of what our max points for rankings were.
What the fuck are max points for then, you guys?
Okay, so
what
It's
is
a
it?
theoretical maximum amount that you could have scored that week if you had perfectly.
Oh, so you're taking the AI's fucking
No, it's not
hope on
AI.
prey on God.
No. It's a metric to determine how many points you would have scored if you'd set a perfect lineup, which is a way to determine if a team based on other teams
Oh, okay. So
is
everybody from
good
the
or
bench,
not.
everything.
Correct.
At the
Yeah,
end
it's
of the
just
week.
including
Okay, the highest- okay.
It's your highest possible score if you'd, for example, set everybody from your taxi squad in the
Okay.
exact right
Always-
position, blah blah
Okay.
blah, every
Your
single week of the
perfect
season
score.
tallied up. It
So
eliminates.
where is that industry again?
So if you go
In
into
the
sleeper,
standings.
and then look at the standings and then sort by max points for, that's where you see.
I don't see where you can sort by that though.
Are you on your computer?
Yes.
It's not.
Oh,
It's not because sleeper's
doesn't
dog
exist
shit.
there, it's only on
Sleeper's
the
dog
app.
shit.
in the app.
It's only in the
Only on
mobile app.
stupid app.
Yeah,
That's
it's really dumb.
cringe.
So Trevor, if you go to the announcements in our Discord channel and scroll up like 2 messages, I posted a picture of it, and you can
That's
look
what I
at.
was asking.
Yeah. But Joe is correct. It would have been Jordan who would have the 101. But
I do think it would be good to have Trevor's suggestion of the person with the worst record get the number 1 pick. That inherently makes sense, and also it doesn't alleviate
like
the
head to head.
problem
You
of,
mean
like,
head to head record,
No,
Yes.
no. Well,
or do you mean max points for?
So listen. So I didn't even realize that's what that was. So I thought that was just the points for, like, that's how much you scored that week all added
No.
up. But if this is 100% accuracy, your team is literally the worst team in the league.
Correct.
Yes.
There is an argument to be said about Jordan getting the first pick.
Yeah.
There is an argument for that.
It's also max.
Is it a
points
good
for-
argument? I don't know.
I think it is because instead of having a situation where Jordan plays shitty players in order to lose on purpose, he
prevents that for sure.
physically cannot do that when you measure it by max points for, because basically you're considering the optimal lineup regardless of who he started every
who
week.
they started, yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So that's why Steve and I advocate for this max points for thing, because otherwise you open up the possibility for people to tank and basically destroy the competitive integrity of the league by throwing games on purpose. And so we want to discourage that, while also leveraging competition by awarding teams who try to win, and to keep the game as competitive as possible throughout 17 weeks of play, instead of just kind of not giving a shit about who doesn't make the playoffs. I think that those matches should still matter, and that's why we have the convoluted system we have now. We
One of the
see
other ways we could do-
I don't think that this convoluted system is optimal. I think what we're really trying to do is figure out what is a good carrot to keep people engaged throughout whatever bracket it winds up being, toilet bowl or consolation bracket.
We could do the loser.
know?
We could do the loser rumble instead of a bracket.
what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Basically, it's instead of a tournament for the 3 weeks or whatever, it's just
We play
whoever's-
best ball.
The
We play
round
best
robin
ball?
or whatever.
It's not necessarily best ball. It's just you're competing against those teams, and then for the 3 weeks, you just add up that. I mean, it is sort of like best ball, I guess.
That's best ball.
I mean, we could do that, but yeah. We could do it for 2 weeks.
That's
I don't
that's
know.
definitely an option.
It's a way to. It's a way to get around. It's just another like option. Like we could do it for 2 weeks instead of the 3 weeks to see who gets in,
Mhm.
and then like from there figure out how to like make that system more optimal for like for drafting. The idea of like keeping a carrot around, whereas if we
'Cause
just
I think-
do max points 4 and do seeding that way, or
I
do
wanna-
draft
I
order
wanna-
that way or whatever, kind
yeah.
of undercuts that. So
Yeah,
just
I
another-
want to decouple exactly, and that's why I kind of like the idea of the comp picks, especially round staggered, because while it does
Well, hold
still
on.
give teams something to play for.
Hold
but
that thought,
we need
Steve.
to talk about that for
Hold
next
that
year.
hold that thought, Steve.
or
The,
next
so
podcast.
the comp pick idea is for each team that's in the finalist spot in the toilet bowl, let's say. So like right now we have Jordan and Kelce playing for 1 and 2, Matt and Joe playing for 3 and 4, and Josh and John playing for 5 and 6. Instead, what Matt suggested is we do a system where Jordan and Kelce would be fighting for the second round comp pick. Matt and Joe would be playing for the third round comp pick, and then Josh and John would be playing for the fourth round comp pick. And basically what that means is during the draft, at the end of the second round, we pause the draft, and then whoever has that comp pick would get
Makes
a player.
selection.
They make a selection, and then we would manually add that player to their team, and then
We
resume the draft.
give them the same,
And then we do
2-minute
the same-
timer or
and-
whatever.
yeah.
And
And then we do the same thing for the round 3 and round 4 comp picks. So basically, we would just add 3 picks to the draft. That's all that the suggestion really is. So we can decide whether or not we like doing that or not. But that was the suggestion. So award draft order by reverse max points 4, and then fight for comp picks in the toilet bowl. So anyway, Steve, you were saying that you liked the ideas for the comp picks. I just wanted to explain what
Yeah.
the comp pick suggestion
I-
actually was.
I don't like them.
I do
It's-
like that idea because I think you should be awarded draft position based on how bad your team is.
Yeah. So here's the reason why the system that we have now isn't good, and it's I hopefully is readily apparent to everybody, but it's the situation Matt's in right now. He has a horrible team, and he should have a top pick, but his team is so bad that he struggles in our format to get a good pick when he deserves one because his team is literally
Right.
bottom of the barrel. And he ended up lucking out, and
Into the
his team had a blow up and managed to actually
and managed
advance.
to get the fourth.
Yeah, he managed to
Yeah.
get the 4th overall pick, but his team is like should be
top
at least
2.
top 1 or 2. So
Yeah, and if you look at the outcome of our matchup, like I just set like the 5th most points record in for this game,
and you have a better pick than him.
Yeah,
and I have a
Yeah.
better pick. Like
Yeah,
my
so-
That's
ceiling
kinda
is
bananas.
way higher than his
That's
ceiling.
that's the
And
thing.
That's the fundamental fuck up of this format.
We knew that would happen with this format. We just kind of accepted that would potentially be an outcome and went with it because we valued competitive integrity over one draft position up or down as a result of postseason play. So again, we understand why this isn't perfect. We're going to change it. It's just a matter of figuring out a system that everyone agrees is the best system that we could come up with in a dynasty context. Because I think that everyone can agree that my rule for how I determine draft order using the consolation ladder results to determine who gets the next pick in a redraft setting is totally fine because it's redraft, because you blow up your team every year. But in this game, we roll over our rosters every year, and then we have to consider draft picks which is not a thing in redraft. So finding a solution for that and threading that needle has been difficult. But we're kind of splitting hairs. Like the system is good enough, but I think we can do better. We'll figure it out.
I'm not convinced it's good enough as it stands.
Yeah, I don't think it's good enough. Yeah.
I think it is.
I think it
broken.
fundamentally is. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think my team is bad. I don't think I had a bad record, but I don't think my team is bad enough to warrant the 3rd overall pick.
You had a bad. Sometimes good teams have bad seasons. It happens.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, I think John's team is good, but he was the poop king. He literally was the worst team in terms of the toilet bowl. He got last place. So, sucks to suck. It doesn't mean his team's bad.
I mean, you would have gotten drummed out of the first round of the playoffs too with those scores, so it doesn't really matter where he was at.
I mean, Jordan's team is 1 year removed from being in the championship game, and now he's he's a top pick in the draft, and it's just it's luck.
I beat Jordan last year, man, not John.
Yeah,
no, I'm talking about Jordan though. Like
Jordan has the number 2 pick,
and last season he was in the championship game, so
I think you just okay. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
My point is that he's a good team. He's a good team that had a bad season.
He got lucky when he beat me last year, and it was all due to just the same shit that happens with me every year with this game, where I end up being super fucking busy and I can't get to my lineup because.
No, look, there's 2 real things that happened to Jordan, and the first one is that Christian McCaffery exploded.
Career year.
And the second one is that Rachaad White got his snaps eaten into big time, and he was always a volume back. Like, he never was particularly efficient. He's good at a few things, but his value is in his volume. And exactly. And Bucky Irving has just absolutely taken the role from him because he's a much better pure runner.
Also regression from players like Amon-Ra, who was good this year, but he wasn't as good as he was last year. Because
lights out good.
He was.
The Lions have been better.
Well, the Lions had a better run game this year. They've perfectly balanced the David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs thing, and it's worked for them. So they didn't really need to rely on Jared Goff throwing the ball. Which, all due respect to Jared Goff, that's the way it should be.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, it's a winning formula for the Lions.
Well, we got to talk about the championship game. It all started on Christmas, and all the wheels fell off for Trevor. Man, I'm sorry, dude. That really fucking sucks. The late addition of Alvin Kamara to the injured reserve list because he tore his penis, and then Chuba Hubbard's chubby finally deflated and got soft.
Well, no. This is also a league-long curse that you left on him as Chuba hobbled, and then he Chuba hobbled you in the playoffs. He was Chuba
hobbled last year.
He was Chuba hobbled this year. But
same time.
But most of this year,
exactly again.
He's Chuba hobbled. That's his name. That's Chuba hobbled, bro.
Hey, at least Chuba hobbled got a bag. Okay.
Yeah.
He did.
He got a fat bag, so he's good in terms of his bag.
Joe Mixon, finally couldn't overcome the Texans.
That was the most embarrassing game of football I've seen in a hot minute. That was so
Texans
bad.
Were hot ass. They looked like the Texans.
How do you manage a fucking safety? And that's it.
Well, how is Derrick Henry the guy who you tackle to get a safety? How does that fucking work? Good for Kamari Lassiter to come down with that, but good lord, that's the only points you can
Lucky
get?
play.
I don't know. Him?
Yeah, no, it was a standard ankle.
It's the only way that you can actually take Derrick Henry down is you just hit him before.
That's the only way
yeah.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. Cooper DeJean had that perfect tackle where he just fucking
just pile drive him.
So what you're saying is you just need a white defender. You need a white DB to take out Derrick Henry. That's the only way.
Cooper DeJean is one of one, man. That's all I could say. That dude is crazy.
A literal perfect tackle on him in the open field. It was very impressive.
That is I think I cut it into a podcast ago when it happened.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. It was a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
But I looked it up. this game 2-21 was not Scoragami. I was very disappointed.
31, yeah, 2-31.
2-31 was not scored. It's happened twice before in NFL history, and the other two games were like 70, 80 years ago. So,
yeah, it's really bad.
I was like, there's
really
no way
result.
this score has happened before, and sure enough.
Not in the Super Bowl era.
Ironically, it was also Green Bay.
Yep.
So.
Back in the suck years.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Jaden Reed dropped the ball.
Jaden Reed.
Oh well.
Green Bay has this whole. Oh, Green Bay has a bunch of twos. We're all cute, but like you're not gonna do shit with a bunch of twos. I'm sorry. You need. Green Bay badly needs an alpha wide receiver. They badly need one.
No better year to go fishing for it late in the draft, though.
I mean, this is always like kind of the thing that people had all these hopes for Green Bay about. Oh, you don't need a one. Yeah, you do need a one. Every team needs a one.
You do need a one.
Like there is no sport where you cannot have a one. It is,
and you can't.
It's just
you can't also necessarily evolve a one. You know, like sometimes you just need to rely on God-given talent. Whatever.
So this is why I was laughing my ass off at the Luke Musgrave pick. I was like, why?
He was supposed to be. I mean, what's the surprising thing about that is that Tucker Kraft emerged and that Luke Musgrave.
No, they just picked two tight ends. Like, what the fuck is that process? I don't understand.
Kraft was picked to be the blocker, and Musgrave was picked to be the pass catcher. Musgrave got hurt.
They should have just got a wide receiver.
And then Tucker Kraft became a better pass catcher while he was in the role and has kind of run away with it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
We can all see what happened, Steve, but I just disagree that that's a good process.
I don't know that it's a good process. I mean,
no, it's terrible process.
Injury is injury.
I don't care. They need a wide receiver. This has been a thing since fucking Aaron Rodgers was on the Packers. Where's the wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers other than Devontae Adams? Where is he?
Well,
Get him some help. Get him some help. They have a bunch of fucking dudes. They have a bunch of Jags. That's all they got. They need to wake up.
Well,
they need a BTJ kind of player. They don't got that. Devontae Adams is gone. It's over.
It's hard to draft that when you draft in the 20s every year.
No, they grow on trees apparently. Every fucking year there's a fucking 1,000-yard receiver rookie coming out. This whole fucking it takes 3 years for wide receivers to develop. That's dead. That's been dead for 5 years. It's not a thing anymore.
There's some good players.
Wide receivers just come out of college and pick up 1,000 yards out of nowhere all the time. It's fucking crazy.
I think it's also, I don't know if I think this draft will go down as a draft like the Marino draft, just absolutely
It was historic in a sense that it took for fucking ever for a defender to come off the board. It was so wide, offense heavy.
I mean, it's there are minimum 4 good quarterbacks, which doesn't happen. There are 3, 4 1,000-yard receiving players: Brock Bowers, BTJ, McConkey, and Neighbors.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this is going to be one of those historic drafts of all these guys came into the league.
Yeah, we're going to look at this draft and be like, damn. It's like looking back at the 2017 draft. And
it's the only way that this draft gets worse is if Drake May turns out next year just to suck. Because Jaden Daniels is good. Bo Nix is a solid
Bo Nix is somebody.
He's going to be somebody can Caleb Williams overcome the Bears? I mean, no one else has, so.
It's very possible because
I guess
we're seeing it now with CJ Stroud. He just looks broken. And a lot of that has to do with their offensive line and their offensive coordinator, yes. But
and the fact they don't have a run game.
Yeah. No offensive line is a byproduct of that for sure.
Yep.
But, he's definitely having a really rough sophomore slump. If he bounces back next year and looks like he did his rookie season, then, fair game. But it is concerning. And it's possible that we see the same sort of thing from Drake May or Jaden Daniels next year for the same reasons. You get a bunch of tape on these people. You have an entire offseason to watch and learn their tendencies and their tells and figure out how to game plan around them. defensive coordinators are not stupid.
Yeah, not to curse Steve, but like the amount of
no, that's okay. He already did it himself.
Yeah, but like the amount of 1-year contracts that the Commanders gave out this year means that like half their team is going to either need to be re-signed or leave. Like, that team will be completely different next year.
Probably, but I bet a lot of those guys come back if they make a deep playoff run. If they like win 1 or 2 games, I bet a lot of those guys will.
They're going to buy into Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury's messaging. You think? Dan Quinn, I can see.
I don't know about that, but I could see buying into Jaden Daniels' talent.
I mean, Dan Quinn is not a bad head coach. Like, he's a player's coach. He's a rah-rah guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like Joe. I have questions about Cliff Kingsbury's sustainability as an NFL coordinator.
He doesn't have a contract after this year, right?
I'm sure he does.
They usually get more than 1 year.
Yeah, they rarely get a 1 because it doesn't count against the cap.
Cliff Kingsbury can get fired and they'll still pay out the contract. Like,
right. That's why I think you'd want to give him a short contract.
It doesn't count against the cap. You're literally just stealing billionaires' money, and I'm totally okay with that.
Like, he could get fired, like, whatever, but he probably signed a 3-year deal. Like,
I don't know. I really don't give a fuck about the
I guess it is a 3-year
coach or coordinator contracts are kind of fucking pointless. Either you do it or you don't. And if you do it, they sign you for more. It doesn't affect the cap. From a fan's perspective, coach contracts don't mean shit.
Whatever.
Yeah,
they don't mean anything.
All right, Steve, go ahead and glaze Brock Bowers like the rest of the fucking NFL. Let's hear it.
He was kind of pissed this game. I mean, he's great. He's a generational tight end talent. He's doing this on a bad team. That's all I need to say. Like,
that's
doing
very
this
modest
on a really, really bad team.
He broke Mike.
He's the only one getting protection because he's the only one they can get operating. Because the teams
basically
playing against him.
I mean, like
the
next people. I mean, that's one of the reasons I thought he was.
He had to pop off first year and then non-existent the second year.
Yeah, he might have a big slump next year. I mean,
yeah, we see this with Kyle Pitts. We've seen this with Laporta. Like, these are recent. I'm very interested to see what Vegas does because they need fucking wide receivers.
He slumps very much.
Yeah, I think he'll be good.
I mean, he's good.
Yeah.
I think he's good. I think he'll settle. I don't know that he'll have like a fucking breakout year like this because I think, well, it just depends on what Vegas does in the draft. They're so needy at quarterback, and like I don't think Aiden O'Connell is the answer. Gardner Minshew is clearly a bridge option.
Yeah.
Like the Shedeur Sanders is probably out of the options, and so is Cam Ward. And I haven't really looked at the quarterback potential past that. Maybe there's a gem in there that the Raiders can pick up.
The consensus I get is that the quarterback class this year are pretty dog shit.
It's pretty mid, but I mean, you never know.
But who knows? Maybe we get some
Sometimes
awesome
you find
fucking
a diamond in the rough, you know.
Exactly.
Like,
who knows? There could be a Russell Wilson just sitting there in the 3rd round. You know, it could happen.
Right.
We'll see.
And every time we this past draft not included, like, they said, oh, this is a great quarterback class. Like, last time they said that, like, the only guy left standing from that class is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I remember that being said up and down. Like, oh, Zach Wilson's Sam Darnold. And it's like, okay. Although Sam Darnold definitely is good this year
again.
Yeah, but
I
attribute that a lot to the Vikings having like multiple Hall of Fame players on their roster currently, and then also their coaching situation is ridiculous.
Being really good and
is a monster,
quarterback friendly system, and like great offensive line. Like
amazing.
And you put almost any quarterback behind that line, and you will put them in a position to thrive. Like, the Vikings are a dream scenario for any quarterback and have been for a long time.
Yeah, it must be nice throwing to Justin Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson and having a pass-catching running back and Aaron Jones. They're just fucking loaded.
They're great.
They're not even doing it with their better left tackle. Like, Christian Darrisaw's hurt.
Yeah, he's out for the season. They just went and got like the best tackle from fucking the Jaguars. They traded with the Jaguars and just patched that hole right quick. It was
let me get that real fast.
Yeah. Because the Jaguars are like, we don't need him. We're fucking cooked.
We're dog shit.
We're we're tanking.
perpetually
when
talking.
you trade your left tackle, like that's the biggest sign that you're
A great
tanking. Like, yo, who trades their left tackle? Like,
yeah, no. So, but I think Brock Bowers is one thing that he's really good at is the scramble drill, and that's probably going to be something at least for the beginning of next season. While things get situated at offensive line, because there's no way that thing.
I think
even if there's a bunch
the
of
best
rookies,
thing
gets
the
situated
best
right
thing
away.
about Brock Bowers is that
So.
he gains separation as a tight end, so he just like is a
Yeah,
matchup
he's really good
nightmare
route
for
runner.
linebackers
Yeah.
and defensive backs because they're not as fast as him and not as big as him. So
Right.
it's really hard to deal with a player like that, which was the profile for Kyle Pitts. That's why he was drafted 4th overall. It's just that Brock Bowers is what Kyle Pitts should be. So,
Right.
you know.
Well, we'll see about that. I mean, they have like literally the exact same trajectory at the same point in their careers so far.
The only difference though is that Matt
Bowers is a little older.
Ryan is a significantly better quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. Better quarterback than Bowers. Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't
O'Connell or
know. I don't watch Vegas super closely, but I don't know how much of Bowers is like short yardage, like quick in breaking stuff, not really getting to the second level or deep as like a deep threat. Because that's what Kyle Pitts was doing his rookie season. He was he was all over. He was doing everything.
I mean, look at the thing here. I mean, by the numbers, it's 7.
I mean, on the season,
11 yards per catch.
Right, but on the season,
that's absolutely what was.
Has he been a safety valve like Jonnu Smith kind of shit, or is he doing? Does he run?
Play has diminished, yes.
But does he run? Does he run developing long?
At
does
the
he
beginning of the season, they had him doing that a lot more
because that's what you want to see. If he
trying
does
to be competitive,
if he does that
like,
next season, that's really promising. If he has like
currently his big thing has been crossers over the middle and thriving kind of more in a traditional tight end role.
Yeah.
Because that's what the quarterbacking expects because it's so mid.
Yeah, I mean that's
like, there's no
like,
no opportunity for the improvisation other than like scramble drill nonsense.
That's all well and good. I just think that if he also was a deep threat and had like a really diverse route tree, I think then at that point it's pretty undeniable that he's like a locked in, people throw around the word generational a lot, but like a high potential to be a Hall of Famer
this year,
based on his ability.
He showed it earlier this year. I think he's got it as a part of his game. I think it's just Vegas's offense has collapsed around him in a way that
it just completely funnels through him, which I think is a huge reason why he had a record-breaking season. Because he has the most yardage for a rookie, not just for tight ends, but period. He has the most yards by a rookie ever, and he has the most yards for a tight end ever, breaking Mike Ditka's record, which was insane because it was in like 13 or 14 games.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
That record will stand for that reason alone.
You add more games and it'll get broken
eventually. But like I think Bowers has I don't have any reason to think Bowers is going to get worse or do the Kyle Pitts thing unless there is an injury like Kyle Pitts. Like
Bowers,
or his quarterback play is as bad as Desmond. Or like, I think we can all agree that AOC is better than fucking Desmond Ridder.
I mean,
yeah.
Sure.
No doubt.
Bowers came into the league with being able to run every route other than a 9.
Yeah.
Like he came into the league.
Yeah.
That was his whole thing. Is like he could run the whole route tree and he was a good blocker. Like except for the 9.
Yeah.
Which I mean. If you're going to be 220 plus and you're not going to be able to run a fast 9, sure, not everybody is DK or AJ Brown or Julio Jones, sometimes that's just not you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we talked about Jonathan Taylor. We talked about Jalen McMillian and then Chris Godwin thing. And by the way, I looked it up. It is the same leg. That's tough.
Yeah. See, that changes things, I think, for him. It changes the math.
I don't know. I think Chris Godwin's a really good player. I think he can come back. He can come back from a multi-ligament tear in his knee. He can come back from an ankle. I think he'll be okay.
I think Tampa Bay wants to keep him. I think Tampa Bay wants to keep him, honestly. So
Right.
DK Metcalf, another disappointing game, but that was also a horrible offensive performance by the Seahawks. Absolutely dreadful.
Just terrible.
That game was gross. That was not as bad as the Colts-Broncos game from 2 years ago or 3 years ago at this point. that was the worst game I've ever seen because
Yeah,
it was that kind of game where it's just like poor offense and like good defense, but like the defense didn't need to do anything because the offense was so inept. The only difference is that this didn't go to overtime like that Broncos Colts game did. So
I mean, thank God.
All-time bust game.
No one needs that in their life. No one needs to waste time.
Travis Kelce actually
I
fucking went off.
Thought Chicago was gonna win, like that most of the game because of how bad it was. Like,
It was a true coin toss for me at the end. I was just like, "Can we just get this over with, please?"
I was almost certain that Chicago was gonna put you out of playoffs, but you're barely still in.
No,
it.
we did that ourselves. We're good.
Yeah, no, we're done.
Yeah.
Seahawks are done.
Yep. Travis Kelce finally fucking like went off. He had a really good game.
Yeah, he did.
Funnel everything through Travis Kelce to beat Pittsburgh.
For once in the season.
And dismantled TJ Watt, basically. That was like...
Yeah, my defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good to see, though.
What'll happen when you have two receiving options that aren't Travis Kelce in that offense. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And Travis Kelce looks like Travis Kelce again.
If they can get open again.
Yeah. It's like, they have other people to worry about. Like
I do think an underrated aspect of this game is getting Hollywood Brown back. Like old ass DeAndre Hopkins was a nice boost mid-season, but I think it's pretty clear at this point he has very little in the tank left. Unfortunately, I love DeAndre Hopkins, but I just don't think he's not the same player anymore.
Right.
DeAndre Hopkins was one of the elite deep threats in the league. He was just amazing at it. He cannot do that anymore. They lost all their deep threats. Rashee Rice gone for this season, and they finally get Hollywood Brown back, and he's stretching the field and really opening it up for Travis Kelce and helping out their rookie.
Yeah, I mean,
Chiefs are dangerous. They might three-peat. It might happen. The Pittsburgh defense.
Stop them?
Exactly. They just destroyed the Pittsburgh defense, which is one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
They get hot at the right time, man. They do this every year.
Wrecked.
Yeah. If they have Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown outside the numbers, and D-Hop and Kelce, open
inside
in the middle, that's as good an offense as any.
Yeah.
Here's the question though: is does Travis Kelce come back next year? Because he'll be he's 35. Yeah, he'll be 36 next year. I don't remember how many years left he has on his contract. I think
Taylor's
he signed.
Loving Arms, right? Like at some point.
I've been hearing things that they broke up, and who fucking cares? But who knows how that has affected his game? Like he won a Super Bowl and has looked great, but does he come back next year? I think he has one more year in his contract, right? So it's a question of what he does after that. Does he retire?
And at this point, is he just Gronk? Is he just something they dust off towards the end of the offseason, warm him up last few weeks and ready to go?
Yep, bring him back.
Could be.
That's basically what Gronk did for Tampa Bay.
At the end, end of his career. Gronk was also his body was broken. He retired quite young. I think he retired when he was 28 or 29. Yeah. And he also had been completely abused. His body is destroyed. Travis Kelce, I don't think really is that much damage. He's played in the league for fucking ever, but he's been pretty healthy. So
his only major injury was his rookie year.
Where he tore his ACL, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually it's one of the more ridiculous coincidences. The whole George Lucas, history doesn't repeat, but sometimes it rhymes.
Yeah.
With Jared Wiley, he's an older tight end prospect that was a pass catcher like Travis Kelce, who is a converted quarterback in college, and tore his ACL in his rookie year for the Chiefs.
Oops.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens because Travis Kelce isn't going to play forever.
Yeah, and Jared Wiley is not going to be Travis Kelce. He's just not.
Yeah. The question is the tight end one on the Chiefs on the roster right now? Is it Noah Gray? Is it Wiley? or are they going to draft another guy this season even? So
or do they just not have or did they just not do a tight end?
Maybe they do a receiver thing.
Rice.
Yeah, they need. Well, and
I don't think so because
Exactly.
Andy Reid is was an offensive lineman. He understands the value of a good tight end, especially as a weapon, a pass catching weapon. They have used a tight end in Andy Reid's chief system forever at this point, like since he got there.
Because you have
been a
Travis
focus.
Kelce.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is a chicken before the egg sort of thing. Andy Reid is the reason why Travis Kelce is.
But Andy Reid didn't really use a tight end in Philly, did he?
Can't remember.
Yeah, honestly,
we have a whole body.
I would have to go look at.
You could look up, but you have a whole body of evidence to confirm or deny that. Based on his tendencies.
I don't remember when
Philadelphia, but it was a different time of the game too. So.
Yeah, I mean, this emergence of like the pass catching tight end has been a fairly recent thing within the past 10 years.
Yeah, well, it being widespread.
You had like your Shannon Sharps and stuff.
Your Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez and everything, but like now every team has like a pass catching tight end that's like somewhat featured. Somewhat.
Well, to the degree, shades of gray, but it's either
it's
Travis
not
Kelce
it's not out of this world for a tight end to get like 600 700 yards anymore on it, just as a dude on a team, whereas that was like very abnormal 20 30 years
ago. Take a look at Tucker Kraft, for instance, who's not starting, but like
that's exactly
a
my
dude
point.
On the team.
Yeah, he's a dude on the team and he catches a fuckload of balls and he's a tight end.
Yeah.
Whereas historically, it's just another wide receiver that does that.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I think a lot of that has to do with the obsession with too high safety looks. It's a very good way to dismantle that is to use a tight end over the middle.
Take what you get over and underneath.
It just destroys his own defense, and it accomplishes exactly what the too high safety is supposed to do, is to limit the big chunk yards. Which ironically, with the Chiefs, they get that anyway with Travis Kelce. So
right.
Well,
and you're making a guy miss.
Like short yardage dudes who are still doing it at an old age. Adam Thielen, man, like
dude, it's insane.
Like he's so old. He's got back issues. Like dude doesn't look quick anymore. Like yeah, man,
still balling.
Like, he's got to be done.
I want to see Adam Thielen in a gold jacket, man. I really hope that he makes it because dude has been solid his entire career.
He's done it on multiple teams now, proving that it wasn't the quarterback, it was him.
Yeah,
and he is not only that, but he was an undrafted.
Was that ever in question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with the whole situation with the Vikings and Stephon Diggs, and then Stephon Diggs wanted to leave, and then Justin Jefferson came in, and Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen was completely overshadowed by him. And then, of course, Stephon Diggs was his teammate. Dude absolutely was a diva, like alpha wideout.
No, I know. He was always kind of like a number one and number two's clothing, like while he was on the Vikings, but
he was the guy for several seasons, like two or three seasons. He was the wide receiver one.
He led the league in receiving yards, and he led the league in touchdowns that year. I think
he was I think it was 2018. He was literally the top wideout, or not even wideout, like the top fantasy player. He was the number one player above all the quarterbacks, above all the running backs, above all the other wide receivers. He was the number one player. He was that good. And how old is he now?
And I would like to see the undrafted guy make it to the Hall.
Dude's 34 and he's still putting up numbers like this with Bryce Young.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Although I will say, Bryce Young has looked pretty good the last 4 or 5 games. Like he's putting together a solid month and a half where
he really has.
We're seeing what all the scouts were talking about emerge from his college tape.
He's figuring it out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's hard for him because he's on the Panthers, but he's figuring it out.
The Panthers actually have a good offensive line, though, is the thing, which is what was so frustrating about the beginning of the season. Is their offensive line isn't great, but it's an NFL quality offensive line and much better than what he had last season, which was truly awful.
Right. Absolutely awful last season.
he should have time. Like, he was just producing sacks himself earlier in the season, and he got benched because of it.
Right.
And then Andy Dalton had a mysterious car accident, and
mysterious.
and now Bryce Young's back.
Are you suggesting that Bryce Young, Tanya Harding'd, Andy Dalton?
Oh, of course.
That is exactly what he's doing.
He drove it right into Casey's team, like straight through Casey's like headquarters. Specifically, fuck you, Andy Dalton, is what happened.
Oh man, that was that game where Andy Dalton had like 5 points, right? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he's like, worst $5 I've ever spent.
Well, I started Deontay Johnson that game. It was like, all right, maybe he'll like, because
Nope.
he had a good game the year like the
Nope.
week before. He put like 118 yards. It was great, like a touchdown, you know. And then like, yeah, just Andy Dalton just did Andy Dalton things and got 5 points and didn't get anybody anything.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Although I will say, ultimately, what I think really solidified this game, which was actually pretty close, because Brock Purdy went absolutely sicko mode against the Detroit Lions.
He literally was going to put up. He was on pace to put up the 60-something points Trevor needed.
It was like the first drive is like amazing drive. They just carved him up. Ricky Pearsall legacy game. He got like 27 fantasy points.
Crazy good.
Touchdown, interception, and then and then he got hurt. Now he's done.
Yep.
Injured.
Now he's out.
Injured the same elbow.
I think that injury though, like, is more concerning than probably is going to be let on, because A, it's the Niners, and B, like, we're all going to forget, like, by the time the next season rolls around. But like, this is the same arm that he had the
throwing elbow problem.
It's the throwing. It's the throwing elbow. It's a repeat injury on the same.
I think he got. Didn't he get TJ surgery? The Tommy John. His UCL was reconstructed.
In college.
No.
No.
2 years ago. 2 years ago when he got injured in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if he got Tommy John.
I'm not
I know
sure.
He had a UCL.
That's a really bad surgery. Once you get Tommy John, it only lasts like 4 years.
He had a major arm injury.
Yeah, we would know. Like, it would be more of a storyline if Brock Purdy had Tommy John.
Yeah, I don't think he had Tommy John.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That's almost a career-ending injury for baseball players. So.
Yeah,
actually,
if you're a quarterback, you kind of need to throw.
Baseball players come back from TJ all the time these days.
Yeah, and they only last 4 years, and then they're done.
You know, they can have multiple Tommy John surgeries and still be able to pitch.
They get 4 years, then they do another one.
But I don't know. I don't know in the context.
Maybe 2 years, and then you get another one, and a year. You're done.
I don't know in the context of like football players though.
It's the same thing.
It's pretty unprecedented because they don't have nearly the same kind of like
velocity you're throwing motion.
With MLB pitchers. The amount of force that goes into their elbow is just absolutely fucking crazy. It's like multiple
trying to throw a football
tons
60
worth
yards?
of force. Right, but what I'm saying is, like,
that's a lot. It's a lot of force.
It is an uncommon injury.
Have you ever tried to throw a football 20 yards?
It's an uncommon injury for
football
quarterbacks to get Tommy John surgery for sure.
It's a big fucking ball, man. It's a big fucking ball moving really fucking fast. And depending on how you throw it, if you're like Kyler Murray, you're throwing it like a pitcher every single fucking time.
Yeah, getting a football to go 60 miles an hour is like really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Okay, but the football is also how much bigger?
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's different.
Talking about completely it's a
you can
different
throw.
object?
Yeah, because you can throw a baseball like 100.
Yeah,
plus.
because a ball is the most
actually.
It's not actually aerodynamic.
A ball either, because it's a top. It spins around an axis. It's not a ball. It doesn't move in the direction of the force.
Yeah,
it's not a ball.
True.
It reminds me of Tim.
A baseball is technically the most aerodynamic shape in the universe, as we know it. Football is like.
Football is a weird ass egg. It's a weird ass egg.
It's like a fucking airplane.
Look, it's a funny game with a funny ball where funny things happen.
That's not a ball.
It's not a ball, actually. It's a top. It's a weird top.
It's a soccer ball squished.
Some sort of ellipses.
But ultimately, I gotta say, the biggest shocker from this game, other than, you know, the unfortunate situation where all of Trevor's key players got injured because he lost all of his top running backs, which basically got him into the situation he's in the first place. His defense didn't show up, unfortunately. Like,
yep.
Yeah, TJ Watt had a floor game.
Neither defense really showed up, but
that was
I mean,
the
Boy,
he had
difference.
an interception. And,
That was
yeah,
the difference,
exactly.
really.
Keyshawn Nixon's interception and that Rashawn Gary caused.
Yeah,
Did he get a pass defense for that?
No,
Or was it
Nixon
just a
did,
hit?
but
Keyshawn Nixon
yeah,
did.
it's just a QB hit.
But
Yeah.
Jared Verse was like making plays. It's just that he got like a key fourth down stop, but like that's just a tackle, and it was on a running back, so it's not like he gets a quarterback hit for that. And he was involved. He was involved in a sack, but they credited it in full to the other dude. I forget his name.
Right. Because it was like that much of a beat, I guess.
Yeah. But
I hate it when that happens.
I thought Harold Landry was going to get to the quarterback multiple times in that game. I thought that
Joe
Trevor
Flacco.
Lawrence was going to be sitting on his ass the entire game because,
Yeah.
you know, the Tennessee defense, like I was talking about earlier, is the best part of that team. And they played a solid game, but I don't know. Jacksonville somehow avoided him.
Yeah. Somehow.
Yeah, and then on top of all that, Travarius Ward, who was starting on Monday, popped up on the injury report on Saturday because of a personal issue. And if you remember earlier in the season, like I think week 4 or 5 or 6 or something, like early-ish, his 1-year-old or his 2-year-old daughter passed away suddenly, which is awful. And so he's been dealing with that. And I assume that's related to why he was out, because he was questionable. He just showed up as questionable on Saturday and then was ruled out the following day. So then Trevor had to pivot to Zion McCollum, who had a decent game against Bryce Young. Tampa Bay just absolutely shit all over the Panthers. But
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
They're not even the only person on their team's Adam Thielen.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bryce Young trying to figure it out. They need. I mean, Jatavian Sanders has flashed, but he's a rookie tight end. You can't really expect him to be great. You know, he's figuring it out, but he's an interesting one. And then Jalen Coker is flashing as well, but like they need more players. Like they need draft picks, but they traded all their draft picks to get Bryce Young. So, you know.
I mean,
What are they going to do?
I mean, this will be the end of the draft picks though that are sent. So next year.
Next year they will actually, and they've actually picked up some picks because they made some trades. So yeah.
But
yep. So
none of them are going to get you that, like, you know, the number one edge rusher type.
No, but at least they'll start actually recuperating some of their draft capital at this point. The Browns are kind of in a similar situation. They're completely past the trade with the Texans, and then similarly, Denver's completely past the trade with Seattle. So these teams are going to actually have some draft capital to play with, and they're also teams that are ascending. So we'll see if they're any good next year. I hope so. I want to see more parity in the NFL. Too many dog shit teams. I feel like the NFL is very top heavy right now with the top of the AFC and the NFC. It's like heavyweights, and then below that it's just like a bunch of like kind of middling teams. Like your Colts and the Seahawks and Arizona and the Rams, and there's just like a bunch of like meh. And then you have like absolute like a laundry list of dog shit teams like the Jets and the Giants and the Patriots, thank God, and the Tennessee Titans and the Browns, and it's just like there's too much shit. Too many shitty NFL teams.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Too many bad offensive lines too. There's so much need for offensive linemen. Like we need more offensive linemen in the league. The development needs to be better. The development needs to be better. Something.
They also can't. Well, it's also you've got to get people to play them. Like Trevor brings this up all the time about like people want to play certain positions, and like people who are that big and that athletic end up playing on the defensive side of the ball because that's where the money is.
Exactly.
Like
playing offensive guard is not.
the D-line.
Yeah, playing offensive guard is not sexy. Like no one's like, "Ooh, you're a guard." It's like everyone wants to be like the Dexter Lawrence, like the guy who's like, the TJ Watt, the Myles Garrett.
There's a reason that we are throwing Jason Kelce up on a pedestal, and it's the NFL industrial complex going like, we need more big guys. We need big guys back.
Hey, we need more jolly big fat dudes to block giant athletic freaks.
Yeah, we need more jolly fat dudes in the NFL. Like that's
guess what? They're all terrified. They're all terrified to play because all the fucking concussion shit.
You know what we need?
Every single one of them's terrified to play.
You know, I think I just had an epiphany. We need to make sumo wrestling popular in America.
No, how about we just go to Japan and get some sumo wrestlers and make them linemen?
Yo, there we go.
Actually,
like when we were going to Africa.
Sumo,
when we were going to Africa and getting middle linebackers, let's go to Japan, get some fucking linemen.
Let's get some sumo wrestlers on the international, development program. I love that idea.
Let's go find out what Jordan Mulatto was doing and all his homies.
Watch the Jaguars or the Colts just go get a bunch of Japanese dudes and then just have a Hall of Fame dynasty.
Well, that was the Mulatto path. Mulatto didn't play college ball, basically.
Neither did Dickerson.
At least the rugby players kind of play a similar style.
How old is the international program? Because they have a specific roster spot for international players. Is it since the 80s? It's been
going on for a long time.
I feel like they need to expand that with all the influence or with all the focus on international. We have all these games in the UK and Germany and shit.
Why don't they attract international players?
Why don't they have a game in Korea, South Korea or something? And
they don't want a franchise. Guess what? So Germany, Mexico, and England are getting franchises first. Okay, the reason we go out there is because we're trying to get a market. Yeah. The whole reason you go out there is to get the market. Once you get the market, then you can build a team. It's not.
They're going to play a game there's rumors they're going to play a game in Dublin next year.
That's cool.
I mean, they have to do more.
They have a market there for the Seahawks. I know for a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seahawks and the Patriots, and it's because it started getting really popular there during 2012, 2015, and that time frame, which at the time the best teams were the Seahawks and the Patriots. So they love Tom Brady and they love Russell Wilson and Beast Mode.
Love Marshawn. Yeah. Yep. And the Legion of Boom.
But yeah, I think that's all she wrote for the championship. Congratulations, Steve. Sorry, Trevor.
Thank you. Yeah. Joe, I will contact you to collect the belt.
Yeah, you can come over whenever, dude. You know where I live.
That's true.
Yeah.
And Steve,
hey, so can we get on the plate? Trevor calls collusion.
There's no room for an asterisk. I've already ordered it.
I'm kidding, bro.
Yeah.
No, but Steve, if you fuck up and don't bring the trophy, I'm serious. I'm making you drive all the way back home.
I'll get that trophy
because I have not seen it yet. You can bring me my stupid Cobb Hits pinup poster you got me. I will display it proudly.
Yes,
while
thank
he
you.
drops balls for the Falcons and fucks up my fantasy team.
I'll make you a deal. I'll even text Steve the morning of.
Thank you.
And say, please.
Thank
bring
you.
the trophy.
I would appreciate that.
Don't fuck it up. That's all you need.
A reminder is always. No, that's too vague. That's too vague.
But Steve, I hope you know. I hope you know. I'm gonna be walking in with my fucking belt from my other championship on my back. Okay, I'm coming in with another belt. So.
Okay. Flex.
And my golden vampire tooth. Okay. Rings, baby. Rings.
Okay.
Scoreboard.
I need to fix that fucking vampire league.
It's so bad, dude. It's so bad.
Trevor was sweating after the drive. He's like, "Yo, what the fucking point is this of this format? This is bullshit. I'm not gonna win a single fucking game."
And then look at this.
Well, the second you win a game, it's over.
That's what I was saying. Is it's gonna be crazy. Yeah,
but it's only if you win within the first 4 games. If you lose out the first 4 games, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're pretty much toasted.
We need to figure that out. But anyway, that's a different.
We'll do something else there.
It needs to be team driven. So once you have X amount of liches, you no longer steal for your team. You steal for your liches, and it fucking you give players to the other people on your team, and it's got to be team based.
That would be interesting. I liked Matt's idea of having vampires and vampire hunters, and then you can only steal from the other. So basically, we have two divisions, and you steal from the other division when you play them.
Division.
So the first 3 weeks you would play your division, and then after
you have more
play
safe
against
weeks.
Everybody.
I guess.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Let's wrap it up. I think we've gone well over time and talked at length about.
We talked more about week 16 though than the fucking championship. Let's be real.
Yeah, for real.
It was more impactful. There were 2 games.
It's true. That was more impactful. There was an actual game that happened. I forgot.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, guys. Well, I think we will probably take a break for a bit, but we will try to produce some content of some kinds regarding the off-season changes. We have to do it
before the Super Bowl. We have to get our shit together.
Yes.
I want to say something. I want to say something as the first loser. Steve.
First loser.
Steve, you did really good. If you wouldn't have made that fucking trade, dude. If you wouldn't have made that fucking trade,
I would have gone nowhere.
I think you would. Yeah, it would have gone.
You would have lost to Danny, and then Danny.
I would have lost to Danny immediately, and then Danny would have beaten Trevor, maybe. Probably.
Oh yeah, Trevor would have all of his players.
Space-time continuum would have been different. So
yes.
If you look at the,
Trevor would have had all his players, but Danny would
cross comparison.
Danny would have scored like 300 points, and Trevor would have scored like 299.8 points.
Yeah, something
and Alvin
like
Kamara
that.
would have had a life-saving miracle happen the day before, and he would have been playing. There's a whole lot of different variables that could have gone in here.
Yep.
But Danny, I just want to say.
But we know Danny still would have won, so. Trevor's head's on his desk, like fuck.
No, I think that this would have been my redemption game, honestly.
Oh, you think? Well, we'll have to see next year. He's officially your rival. So next year, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Yep.
All right, guys. So I think we had a really long discussion about probably the most important thing we need to vote on, which is the toilet bowl. Well, we'll talk more about different ideas of what we want to do.
Please, we're still soliciting ideas. So if you have anything on that regard, like get it in. We will evaluate everything that comes to us. Like DM Scott or I.
Bring it up. Just bring it up in the Discord and just
bring it up in the Discord if you want to discuss it. Like
open the discussion publicly. I think other people weighing in and thinking about what other people are thinking about is a good idea. But clearly, I think there's a need to change the system. Just like we felt last year, I think that we got one step closer to something that works, but it's clearly still broken. So we'll figure that out. And then on top of that, there are a couple other small changes that I think people have been suggesting. Trevor mentioned the trade deadline. We can reevaluate that. And then there's I have a small laundry list of some minor things as well.
Yeah,
but we'll bring that up in a separate podcast.
And don't get me wrong, I like that the trading was able to happen. But at the same time, if people are gonna do like mixed feelings bullshit and they're not gonna be fair, just get rid of it and then no one can trade. In my opinion, it's better than feelings being hurt.
I voted against it personally.
Yeah.
I voted.
I thought I voted against it, but I didn't. Apparently,
no, you didn't. But I voted because
look at my messages right now.
Because I thought that the trade deadline being open would create some funky situations, and not to say that what Steve did shouldn't have happened because clearly it was in the rules, but yeah, I don't know.
It was trade deadline. It was by the book allowed.
I do want to say that the trade.
I don't think it was unfair necessarily.
I do want to say that a trade deadline being disabled is pretty par for the course for Dynasty format. But the discussions that I see online about it are pretty there's a lot of people who feel one way or the other about it. So it's clearly a polarizing thing. But it was a vote that landed pretty much square in the middle. So. If people feel more strongly about having one this next season, we can try it that way. And if we don't like it, we can get rid of it again. That's the whole point of our democracy. So, yep.
Indeed.
What day was it voted on?
What day?
Yeah.
Bleh.
Okay.
This is some serious forensics.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will get that within the next week and a half, ideally. We'll hope to get that kind of stuff collated so that we can get it podcasting about it and dispersed. because our clock is ticking. We know we want to do reactivation around the time in the Super Bowl, so
Yeah, it was
we
like the week
we got to get
after
those
the
things.
Super Bowl or
Yeah,
something. The weekend after.
we made it vague for our own benefit, but yeah, I think internally it's like within 2 weeks of the Super Bowl ending, we want to have the league reactivated and expanded and everything for the offseason. So
welcome to draft season, everybody.
exactly. Welcome to draft season. Offseason podcast coming up next week or in 2 weeks maybe. Depends on how well Scott and I can get our lives in order. But yeah, I guess with that, yeah, defense wins championships.
And Steve sucks. Actually, no, Steve doesn't suck because he
I
won.
don't suck.
But
I
you still
won.
suck.
I mean, you still suck. You still suck. You still suck at fantasy, but you still suck.
I don't suck at fantasy, at least. Can prove that.
You should have gone to
All right, have a good night, y'all.
Take it easy, everybody.